All of these complaints running through my head. Game's on fire. Face burning red. Frustration is getting bigger. Ban, ban, ban. Pull my devil trigger.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Bad Game Hall of Fame. I'm Charky, and with me here tonight is Johnny Baghead
Hello.
and Cassidy.
Well, howdy there.
And we are here for the final-ish episode of DmC Devil May Cry. Not really the final episode, but we are winding up the main story. We are ending the base game. We'll be giving our thoughts. We will be going over the post-mortem history of the game. We still got another stream after this, though. We're not totally free. We gotta do DLC. But tonight, we will end the main story. Are you guys looking forward to this?
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Well, I'm kind of dreading it because at the end I have to summate all my thoughts on this game into some sort of concise conclusion. And, I always pull it out at the last second. I always, somehow I manage to tie it all together into a tidy 30-minute rant at the end of these things. But
yeah, we only have 4 levels left, but I wasn't sure to pencil in if we were going to be live for 3 hours or 4 hours.
yeah, we'll find out, won't we?
Yeah, this has been... What episode is this? This is episode 4?
Yeah,
Episode
so
4.
So I'm willing to say that this has been a long time coming, finally finishing this. And I would say that my opinion on this game, at least from a gameplay perspective, has shifted over the course of this playthrough a bit. I am starting to see the rose-colored glasses that I had established, even only having played this like 2 years ago. Like, looking back, I find that I've forgotten some things about it that, yeah, I think it deserves this place here in the Bad Game Hall of Fame, but I'll get more into that once we do our wrap-up thoughts. I think, for now, though, if I really want to go at length about anything, if I really want to take this time to shoot my mouth off, to keep talking, to keep stretching this out, it'd be Charky Stream Snack. All right,
Gotta stuff that mouth with something, with a stream snack, perhaps.
Trust me, that my mouth will be super stuffed with what I have here. But first, the drink is Alani Nu Orange Kiss. Not my favorite of the orange flavors that Alani does. That would be the orange dreamsicle, whatever they call it, thing. But yeah, that orange dreamsicle does not come in the big variety packs. Tonight's snack is Little Caesars pepperoni Detroit-style deep dish pizza, and some crazy bread on the side. Okay, so as far as the major, like, national chains of pizza places go, I think I like Little Caesars the best.
Mm-hmm. That's a big agree for me.
Yeah, it's like, I think their normal pizza, they're hot and ready. First of all, that is a great deal, even though they did raise the price on that. It's still a real good deal for what it is. So I'll give it a pass for being kind of eh. Their deep dish is great. I love that deep dish. It is like fantastic tasting. The problem is I had the deep dish a year ago and I got food poisoning real bad. 6 months ago, I got the deep dish and I did not get food poisoning. I was fine. So I'm rolling the dice tonight, baby. 50-50 chance that I get food poisoning from what I just ate. Hopefully not. Hopefully I'm fine. It's that weird thing where anytime I get food poisoning from somewhere, I have to realize in the back of my mind, it's like, that can't happen every time, right? But
I mean, shit, I can food poison myself trying to cook myself. I just made a pasta where I swear to God the beef was off. And I felt like so sick. I'm still feeling sick from it. I made it yesterday or the day before. So, all food carries that risk. It's a 50-50 chance to flip the coin every time you put anything in your mouth, if you ask me.
It's just that once you get food poisoning from a place, there's something in your mind that goes like, I don't know, like the primitive caveman part of your brain is like, no, last time I had that, it was poison, so maybe I shouldn't do that again. And I feel like there are places where that's more deserved than not. I would say my local Walmart I would say I've had food poisoning from their pre-prepared stuff more times than you should ever get food poisoning from a place that sells food that you're like, yeah, I would eat this food again. So I don't know. I'm having like a mental tally of like what foods there give me food poisoning. Be like, don't do that one again. Then I inevitably forget and get food poisoning. Johnny, what are you poisoning yourself with tonight?
Yes, well, I have more of my pumpkin spice latte coffee sachets. Still got some left. And for dinner today, we made nachos because we had a nacho seasoning thing, and I just got leftovers because they were so good. I just wanted more.
Do you think the pumpkin spice cachet is going to last until next pumpkin spice season?
No.
Okay, sure.
I've had wait. I'm already 2/3 through it, so no
You're
way.
gonna work through it. Cass, what are you having tonight?
Well, since we're wrapping up the main story of DmC Devil May Cry, I figured it was appropriate to get something that ties into the game. So what I have here is rare. This is a can of Virility, as featured prominently in the game. I'm gonna crack this open on mic here if I can manage it. And
Yeah,
let me take
that's
a
good.
sniff. A sniff first. Okay, time to take a sip.
Aerate it.
You ever want to fuck a succubus? That's
I think that's like the default state, right? Generally.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking. It has nothing to do with the drink. I'm just always thinking about that. There's always kind of running commentary in the back of my mind. No, I'm just drinking a Monster Energy. Psych, gotcha. Can't believe you all fell for that, you morons! Nah, I'm just drinking my Ultraviolet.
I'll be honest, the decision to go with Little Caesars tonight was Devil May Cry based. It was like pizza.
Yeah.
Granted, I don't know if Dante would do a deep dish. Because he's always got the round pizza, you know, your classico pepperoni pizza.
Yeah, he doesn't do it by the slice.
What's easier to eat by hand?
What's easier
You
to
say.
eat by hand? You know what? I would actually say the Detroit deep dish, because they're cut into squares. Which is, they're cut into like
Oh well, he
relatively
definitely doesn't have squares.
normal
So
squares. Yeah. Alright, well, I think that will do it for Charky's Stream Snack. And I think it is time for us to go to that 16:9 and get ready to finish this. Oh, jeez. Okay. I don't know. I'm a little antsy tonight. And that might be the Alani new. But,
Yeah, I'm
We'll make it through
amazed. I mean, I guess I'm not amazed. I know that energy drinks work for people. It just so barely registers. I can chug this entire can, and like the difference it makes, marginal at best.
I think it's a thing for me where it helps me operate on a baseline more than anything else. Like, I'd feel it if I didn't have it. Also, the screen's gonna go dark for a sec while I adjust some stuff off to the side here. Okay, there we go. So where we last left off, the scene happened. The scene with the sniper rifle. We all had a dour turn in terms of our commentary. But Mundus's child is now dead, as is his mistress. And we have been storming the building that Mundus has the Demon Gate, or the Hell Gate in, with Virgil. So I think at the end of the last mission, we were just like, we're close to the top floor.
Yeah.
As you get it
Coming to
started,
a
I'm
head.
sure there's going to be a cutscene or something.
Yes.
So I don't know if I need to save my thoughts here. I want to respond to Ninja Master 551's comment in chat, but we'll save that for after. Just know that it's seen and I have a comment on it.
Okay, so I'll just go ahead and start the mission.
Gotta get the show on the road. You know how it goes.
I
Mundus's chamber is located
don't remember the lead into this.
there. You will reunite with Virgil.
I thought we were
We
just
went through a
in the
door
building.
or a wall.
Channel through here.
There really isn't one. Dante and Virgil get in an elevator, and then he just gets out, and he's here.
That's what I thought, yeah. Alright, I did not do any off-stream playing in the past week, so I'm gonna have to remember the controls a little bit.
Well, while you figure that out, I'll read the comment from chat from Ninja Master. Granted, I haven't seen the end yet, but I gotta ask, how in the name of Sparta is every critic who praised this on release not completely embarrassed for themselves? As I recall, some tried to frame the announcement of DMC 5 as the, quote, the babies got their binky moment. Okay, so as far as people feeling embarrassed for themselves, I don't think, critics, reviewers really think much on games that they previously covered in most circumstances, unless it's like, Jeff Gerstmann being held to task by the community for his 8.8 review of fucking Twilight Princess or whatever, where they are forced to be reminded of it. Or like, like IGN reviewers who get caught in those crosshairs for their reviews. Generally speaking, like when you're in the news cycle, when you're in the review cycle, it's, you finish one game and you're immediately on to the next, and there's not a lot of time to really think on or reflect on those past works. So I'd say that. As far as the announcement of DMC 5 and people who talked about gamer entitlement, you have to remember the era that those sentiments would have been surfacing in, which is to say, like in a post-Mass Effect 3 ending world, where there was this feeling that as gamers got louder and louder in their complaints and more vitriolic as well, that there was a sense that any caving in of developers, any changes they might make to their games, or any deviation from their plans was seen as kowtowing in a way that the games press was kind of trying to, like, they were trying to have their impact. They were trying to kind of influence the industry in their ways. Or speak to the audience in some way as to tell them to try and tamper or hamper those sorts of outcries. And, it didn't work. Ultimately, the shitty state of things we're in right now is a testament to the fact that all those cries for decency and for the complaints to stop, for the complaints to kindly stop, did not take. So here we stand.
Yeah. No, that's 100% fair. I definitely think a lot of the, like you said, critics aren't going back and checking games out like every year or so and re-reviewing stuff. I get the feeling like most critics that were still very positive about this game when 5 was announced and coming out probably hadn't played it since it came out, especially because a lot of the reviews were like the comments they would make were clearly about this version and not definitive. But yeah, as I've mentioned, the press and the specific developers, their rhetoric was not great, but fans weren't either. A lot of it was very toxic, so
no doubt,
I can see why to a lot of those journalists it was considered, and reviewers, it was considered justified to be like, well, fuck those people. And I'm not gonna fault someone for that, because it was an era of just like open slur and just like, sending a death threat's no big deal. That's just how I express myself and whatever.
Death threats are my love language. Yeah, it's...
And there's the big thing is about the idea that a lot of pundits at the time didn't want developers to listen to users. I think the problem with that is ultimately the industry itself. Is that as much as like some reviewers and journalists would like this to be like a high art medium, and that'd be great, but that's not how the business is run. That's not a lot of the audience, unfortunately. So frankly, from a business perspective, it actually makes sense to listen if there's a big enough vocal outcry for things. It makes sense to go, oh well, Devil May Cry used to sell well, and then we put this one out and it sold less. So why would they stay with this series, for example? But any example you can think of, like a developer or publisher, more specifically a publisher, listening to feedback, it's only a business decision. And so much of the creative process is because of business decisions. The idea of like a full creative output is very rare outside of the indie space. So I get why a lot of the gaming press would want, developers don't necessarily like that's not the industry we had then. It's definitely not the one we have now. In an ideal world, I would love to have that. But it's like, every game is a person or a team's expression. They had full creativity to put the thing out exactly how they wanted, and that's the end of it. But until we're past that, you know, I think it was, you know, I wouldn't say unreasonable is the right word, but it was, you know, an impossible dream at the time. And so, you know, kind of moaning at gamers and using the word entitled a lot, I don't think was the right move either. You know, missing the forest for the trees and all that.
Speaking of missing things, I'm missing where it's supposed to be going. Aha.
Yeah, I remember
There you
this
go.
bit being kind of confusing. With
The flame wall
split
does
paths.
not help.
No,
Popping
no.
up every few seconds, that's just spatially disorienting. Because it makes you feel closed in a way that makes it harder to discern where forward progress is. Just from like a design standpoint, I think that's pretty weak.
Yeah.
Arbitrary Water in chat says, in response to the conversation we're having, does that mean we're now in the era of actually bullying works for good or ill period of discourse? Yes. Yeah, no, that's been the state of things for the past several years. And, you know, credit where credit's due. Bullying, you know, can be done for the right or wrong reason when it comes to bullying corporations, when it comes to bullying publishers. I mean, look at all the shit that fucking Larian's been getting up to in the past few months, and the outcry to it from an audience that's like, you know, get away from this AI shit. We're not going to buy your games if you're going down this path. Look at the attempts to speak sense to Sega over Yakuza Kiwami 3 and the casting of a Predator in one of those roles, and just Sega's stubborn refusal, and how that's, you know, shaped all the discourse around that game and the amount of people who are willing to buy that. I mean, these are people who are rightfully entitled to complain about things that are like kind of scummy and despicable. But like, you know, we can't pretend that it's not bullying when you're en masse making fun of, you know, the head of Larian by name, and telling people, you know, organizing like, don't buy this fucking game, don't support this fucking company. You know, it's.
Is there a difference between, like, I'm not saying what, well, okay, I'll just phrase that as I was going to phrase it. Is there a difference, though, between boycotting and bullying?
Yeah, it's a matter of phrasing. It's a matter of tone. You can boycott in such a way as to be completely ineffective by being emotionally divested from it, by just being like, we will choose not to buy these products because we do not support company for this reason. Or you can make it personal. Or you can specifically name and shame the people you're looking to shame for it. And it turns out that usually gets more of a response because the people in power, the people who are being named and shamed, are being made to feel the pressure directly. And usually it's shot callers. Usually it's the people who can influence the decision one way or the other. And so if they are being named, if they don't have the benefit of their anonymity, then yeah, it turns out to be more successful in a lot of cases, for better or for worse. As is said, this is not an implicit endorsement of bullying, when, you know, so often, in most cases, bullying has a negative connotation, because in most cases it is like the anti-woke crowd targeting people who are more vulnerable. They are punching down in the most like gratuitous, egregious ways to try and like bully and punish people into not releasing games, period. Or
And
to
often going for games they would never play anyway. And shit like that. This is good, because this reminds me of another topic I wanted to mention, because so much of this playthrough has been around that PR and press reception and reaction. But a huge thing to note is that we can't really speak to how many people who brought the game actually knew any of that was happening. You know, it was that mix where the magazines were dying but still holding on. They were still getting exclusive and cover games. But, you know, even today, like, the general gaming audience is not online
I think
seeing
he fell
social media
asleep.
posts.
I think he's taking
Don't wake
a
him
nap.
up.
Don't wake him. Yeah. I didn't know this could happen.
Hello? Sleepyhead? What is he doing? Am I looking at his ass? What am I looking at?
Oh, actually, I think that might
What is
be.
he doing? Oh, dude.
Oh, well,
Whoa, jump scare.
that's what I call a wake-up attack. Hey-oh,
Yeah,
nerd joke.
hey-oh.
That's a joke for the... Slime in
yeah,
chat also, just want to read a couple comments from them who
Yep.
said, the
Go
internet
ahead.
makes it so much easier for the concerns of nerds to be organized and vocalized broadly for good or bad. And also they say that boycott is a punch-up word to them, bullying a punch-down. So I guess if that's how you want to delineate
Jack's
it,
a little bit pleased with himself, ain't ya? And
you can
rightly
say
so,
boycott
rightly
is
so.
doing it for the right reasons, and bullying is doing it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, yeah.
But, you know, those things are subjective in the minds of people. But, you know, I have a pretty clear sense of what is morally right and wrong, I feel. I have a pretty strong moral compass about these things. So,
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of, it's just, even today, in a very internet-centric world, a lot of the stuff that some gaming spheres online think are big deals, that's, oh, this developer said this on social media, this thing happened here and that, they do not get how little people are aware of that stuff. I think of anything around Ghost of Yotai, where that was predicted, oh, that was going to be a massive failure because people don't like this recut, like who's cast in the main role, and the thing she says. Spoilers, that game's selling better than the first one. So, clearly, either people didn't see it or they didn't care. And there's you know, there's dozens of cases of that. And ultimately, when we can't really know how many people were aware of the stuff around DMC, I will say I think it's probably the biggest and loudest this kind of discourse has been, because it was still being published in magazines and probably the word of mouth around it. But I do want to stress that, like, ultimately we know it affected the sales, but we don't know necessarily if people just weren't interested on the premise, and that was enough to have the game not meet its targets.
yeah, that stuff is unquantifiable past a certain point.
Yeah, just wanted to clarify, like, if there's an impression we're giving that that's why this game bombed, it's like, nah, probably not. In the grand scheme of things, just notable because of how badly all that PR went. Oh, it's the Whoopee Man.
Yeah, thanks for
Nice.
the tip on, like, the parry thing. Now I actually know how to fight this thing.
Yeah.
Which I wish it, like, was a bit more clear about that, maybe. Because parrying
Yeah.
is not a thing that happens a lot in this game. Sometimes they'll say you can parry projectiles, but they don't really explicitly say you can parry
Yeah.
physical attacks.
I think I don't know what they are. I think there are things you can also do before he warps away. I just don't know them. There's the thing about reflecting projectiles. I remember that.
Yeah, like,
But
I
you
can do
mentioned the
that,
timing on that's awkward, yeah.
and then he'll reflect it back, and I reflect it back again. But yes, you're right. The timing on that is very awkward. That way.
Yeah. I'll mention this as well, because it's not ever brought up in the history sections, but just something I think is a fun fact. Because I didn't know this at the time. I know someone who did call out this game when it was contemporary for its sexist themes and writing. Feminist
Who was it?
frequency.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you go.
And I remember she got shit for it.
She got shit for literally everything.
I know, but in particular, like, no
You're
one
right.
had her back on that. And it's like, oh no, she was... Honestly, she was tame compared to, I think, how hard you could go on this. It was very... Just, you know... base level, just mentioning, like, yeah, you know, the women in here are poor representations and, you know, just tools in the story and stuff.
That
And
was,
Was
it's
a
that
whole,
a
know.
whole level?
that was a whole level.
Wow, after that last level, the previous
Yeah.
level, like, never ended. In fact, I think you're still playing it right now in the background. I think you're still trying to work your way through it.
Yeah.
What a change of pace.
That's funny, because I think this next level is actually quite long.
Really.
I
thought
get the
we were in for
impression
some
that the
short
level
ones.
breaks were decided very late in development at times.
Also, I want to upgrade. I never have found a use for payoff or kick or leap, honestly.
Well, you're running out of things to upgrade here, so
I know.
at some point you'll just accidentally, or you'll get them because, like, well, I got nothing else to invest in. Maybe not before the end of the playthrough, but you know, when you go into your New Game Plus run that you're so looking forward to.
Yeah, when I do Son of Sparta. Let's see. Recycling streak. Yeah, let's just max feed. Make angel weapons.
Ninja
potentially
Master.
useful.
Ninja Master follows up with, I agree with all the points made. I just think it sucks that the people who are just like, cool, a proper DMC sequel, we're grouped in with the creeps who want anyone in the industry that they don't like fired. That's going to happen. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just how the reality of the thing now. It sucks, sure. And, you want to have clear delineations between those groups. People who had rightful complaints about games criticism, the state of games journalism in the 2010s, getting lumped in with the Gamergate crowd, with the people who were just like ultra vitriolic and petty.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the way of things, and there's no easy fix for that, unfortunately. But now we got to shut up.
We make quite the team. I'm stronger. I'm smarter. I'm better looking. Linus is behind the vault door. Let's not keep him waiting. And I got a bigger dick.
How would you know?
Yeah,
He knows because Kat saw Dante naked at the start of the game.
You thought it was a plot hole,
established.
but instead,
See, to meme, better rider than you gave him credit for.
Cat predicted. So,
That seems so bad.
Kickstart the backup generators in Limbo to overload the system so I can hijack the quantum encryption algorithms.
Yep.
That's it. But, could you say that first bit again?
So, you have to kickstart the generators.
4 of them, right?
Yeah, that's right. 1 in each tunnel.
Let's get to work.
Yeah, this is a strange level. They very suddenly remembered. Oh yeah, Devil May Cry games had like little puzzles.
Bob
they just
Mayer in
made-
chat said, in English, Einstein. Just want to put that out there.
I mean, okay, you know what? I kind of like that the bit that he was like, could you repeat that for me? Was the first part, the simplest part.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know what to say about that stupid dick measuring contest.
Well, I'll
Just
say
that
this.
scene comes out of nowhere is the problem.
I have a slightly controversial take. It's bad line of dialogue. Don't get me wrong. But I think about how the relationship between Dante and Virgil is established in mainline in real Devil May Cry games. And they don't really do much, do they? I think the most you get is in 3.
Yeah.
And even there, I mean, it's immediately adversarial. There's like, they don't really like talk as brother to brother in a way
Well,
that
they have-
scratches my
it's-
itch.
It's interesting. Like there's like the first fight with not the.
Wow, that
no,
was
it's
easy.
the second fight. It comes up more that even when they're like throwing barbs at each other, they're clearly enjoying it. There's a weird kind of our relationship is toxic, but we still enjoy the brother rivalry thing. Like they get off on it almost. So like
I'm
there's
glad we
even
get to see
times where
that-
Virgil laughs at the lines and things like that.
I'm glad we got to see the end of that last cutscene through Dante's
Yeah.
eyes, by the way. Did you notice that the
Yes.
view model, the camera shifted to inside of Dante's head?
That was an Argent Key difficulty mission. That's supposed to be like the hardest ones.
Oh yeah, so quick. I'm barely sure what you even did.
It was just kill the tyrant in 45 seconds. I did it in
Oh.
like, what, 20 or something.
Yeah.
Less than 20.
So I'll cede to you, Johnny, and say, yeah, it is like they're doing some work there, but it is nice that this game, for what it's worth, and even though it doesn't do it well, at least attempts to show the brotherly dynamic between these two.
Yeah.
To really like drive home the fact that they are, they may come from the same mom and dad, but they could not be further apart on certain things. There's certainly commonalities, things that they would agree on, like, brothers would, but there's also things they disagree on as brothers would. It just so happens that the stakes are incredibly high when it is
Yeah.
about ruling the world or not.
Yeah, I think the problem is much in the way that Dante,
Ah,
he has the way he is to start the game and he gets all his memory back and his art, like his
art's
inner
complete,
conflict
yeah.
goes. We're in a similar position, but even worse, where we don't get really the full memory he gets back. So he at least has the memory of what him and his brother were like as kids. So you could at least headcanon that, oh, okay, like, they're starting to talk more naturally as brothers because that's how they remember being. It's just not established, really. If we had more banter early on like that, even if the dialogue's bad, I would find it less clunky. But you know, I can see the writer putting it in on the page is how it feels to me, as opposed to feeling natural is more the problem.
Yeah, no doubt.
Especially because like the idea of there being any competition between them right now is like that's from nowhere. Outside of that one picture of them looking creepy as children.
But I think
Actually,
the
if Virgil
important
started to
question
get weird
Oh,
about
that-
Cat,
I mean,
that
the-
actually would have added to it. But
The
he doesn't
conversation
really.
they just had didn't sound like actually competitive. It just more sounded like them just bullshitting each other back and forth.
Now, line up the power conduits with the corresponding server.
Wait, what?
What's
Sure, like
important here
friendly
is-
rivalry, I should say, yeah.
But who has the bigger dick? Who actually has the bigger dick? I need to know for my wiki. For my wiki
you don't
dick.
trust.
You're gonna have
Don't
to
trust
like
Virgil.
rip the 3D models from the game and check yourself. Key.
Wow, these are some exciting hallways they've designed here.
Yeah,
Okay,
this
that's not real. That's not real.
my vague
Okay.
memory of this is probably the worst level in the game.
Oh, good.
Lots to look forward
Similar,
to.
because it's similar in structure to the house, the manor, but more boring and with a very annoying puzzle you'll have to do later. What's that thing from Event Horizon and
Spaceships.
Dead Space? No, not quite.
No, Turkey got it. It's spaceships.
Nah, the big ball that looks like that with the round fins on it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I remember what they call it in
I
the
don't-
movie.
Know if they have a specific name, unless you're talking about in the specific franchise itself. But I see it in a lot of things. Like,
Yeah.
Fear and Hunger has one of those.
Oh, cool.
Gun Tanks in Spaces says that they hate this level. This is the worst level in the game. It's no Arkham boss fight in DMC 3, but instead this game is TDM incarnate rather than this level.
That
Ninja Master asks, and this is a question for you two, because you know I don't watch YouTube videos about video games or video game media. Was wondering if any of you have seen Foxcade's video on the Netflix series. I think it's a neat coincidence it came out in the middle of your playthrough.
no, I saw that recommended,
Not
but I
yet.
did not watch that video. I haven't seen the Netflix series either, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm going to at some point, but it's one of those things where I have to knowingly subject myself to a interpretation of a series I don't like, so I have to be in the right headspace. Be like, oh yeah, let's wallow in shit for a bit. So I will, and I've watched Foxcade stuff before, so I'm a fan.
None of those.
I
hit?
just... Why are they continuing to make
Good.
Netflix series, animated series about
You can.
video games when they already peaked with that Castlevania series?
It worked
Like,
once.
legitimately. You know, shame about Warren Ellis. Dude sucks, piece of shit, fuck him. But he did right the fuck out of that that first Castlevania series, those
And he-
first 3 seasons.
He also wrote a lot of the fuck into the Castlevania series.
That's true enough. I really liked, in case it wasn't obvious, I really liked that Castlevania series a lot. I particularly like the parts that aren't action but are just talking, are just conversations between characters, especially in Season 3. Where is it? It's Isaac, I believe. I'm always getting confused Hector and Isaac by
Yeah.
name.
Isaac is the
Where's
villain. Hector is the good guy.
Well, in
That's-
Season 3 of Castlevania,
In season
Isaac,
3, they don't really fit those roles. So
Okay. So I've
yeah,
only
where it's
seen
just
season
him
1.
having conversations with people about, like, you know, philosophy and, you know, humanity and whether they deserve to live, whether they deserve to continue existing, and he has his opinion changed just by conversations with people. It's almost like the thing I like, the thing I enjoy. It's just really good writing. Who'd have thought?
No. Legit, there's some really great stuff in the Castlevania Netflix series. Even if like they get a bit hammy with the swearing at times.
It's the same thing with that the Harley Quinn animated series, and you know what Castlevania does with the swearing, Harley Quinn did with just gratuitous violence, which is tedious, it's boring, it's rote, but then like it's accidentally like it's getting in the way of some accidentally really funny writing in that show, some really funny joke writing and solid character writing,
Another in the bag.
and like angles on those characters that are really good.
No.
So I enjoy that series too, in spite of itself, and in spite of the fact that it still occasionally thinks that head blow up equals funny.
By the way, did you know that Devil May Cry Netflix series got greenlit for a second season?
Oh Jesus!
Before the first season was out.
Oh,
That's how
okay,
they do
that
it
makes
now.
more sense.
It's like you don't even know if it's gonna flop yet.
Somehow
Maybe-
that makes more sense.
Maybe wait.
Than it getting renewed on the strength of its own merit.
Oh yeah. I just don't know if it would have. I don't know if it's Netflix produced, but I did like the Tomb Raider animated series. It did have
I
some
believe that's Netflix
animation
produced,
problems. Yeah, but the actual like writing and dialogue in that is also really good. And also they made Lara buff as fuck.
Goddamn right.
Oh, good cutscene.
It occurs to me, I don't give a shit about animation quality in most cases.
Yeah, it didn't bother me that much, honestly. Like I know some
Chargeman
people
Ken
have watched
fan?
it.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
mean, because the character writing is so peak. I mean, the way they characterize Ken throughout those 52 fucking episodes or whatever. On the record, it's probably become pretty boring to hear me talk about my favorite anime noir, favorite anime of all time. And, it has immaculate art. It has immaculate art direction in terms of, like, the background arts and, like, the detail that goes into the environments and just, like, the direction of those scenes. But, boy, howdy, there is some constant off-model stuff, some angles that the animators probably should not have tried to draw characters from. There's, like, one shot that they use, like, 1,000 times in the first 13 episodes of it, where it's Muriel, one of the main characters, flashing back to when she's a child. And there's a shot they use. It's like a low-angle shot looking up at her. And her face is just so off-model. She looks like a Clannad character. That's a joke for the anime fans out there. She looks like a electrical socket. And they use that same shot, like, no joke, probably like 100 times. And it looks bad every time. But you forgive it because the series is so fucking good. So.
All right. Finally, all the...
This is-
Whoops.
Oh yeah, these
that.
things still fun, aren't they?
I just remember now the shotgun is good at these things.
Yeah.
Of course, that was probably the last one.
All done. Great. Here we go.
Okay, listen up. To pop this beast open, you will need to line up 4 conduits with their corresponding servers. Did you get that?
English, please.
No, he got it.
Where'd you learn to do that?
What?
That computer stuff.
Hacking? Taught myself as a kid. I guess it gave me a sense of control.
Oh. We never had that, did we?
No,
Yep, okay.
I always felt that something was amiss, hidden from me.
So did I.
How was
Like a burning
this...
feeling inside.
Okay.
Exactly. But I knew that if you peeled back the layers of bullshit, the truth would eventually out. Guess I channeled that energy into hacking. You? How'd you find release?
Killing demons and getting laid. With the computer stuff, that sounds good too.
But Tish.
Yeah, I'm the cool brother.
Okay, so, question. Where am I aligning this? I understand how this puzzle works. I already see the grand scheme of how the
You see where that
mechanism
moon
works.
is? The moon on the floor. I believe that would be where you would put the star.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
no,
I
this is not fun, this bit.
Done.
Yeah, okay, understood.
Yeah, because the problem is that now to move the others, you're gonna have to move the moon again.
I mean, what is this if not a sliding block puzzle?
At least
Yeah.
Dante's having a good time. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
this. Woo!
Loving it.
This needs to go up. I love that this is the only way to mechanically interact with this puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to hear constantly.
Yeah.
Okay, so this
I'm
is
gonna
go...
do something. I'm gonna do something. Some I found outlandish. I'm gonna say something nice about Castlevania: Lords of Shadow. Whenever they would do puzzles like this, it would use a bespoke UI where you just did like regular controller prompts. Like if you're gonna do these kind of puzzles in an action game, like don't do it within the combat engine. Like just give me, you know, just give me a menu, give me UI control to move these.
Now, something I've been replaying recently. First, let me read a comment from Chad, Joe Reels, who says, I feel like the bonding moments between these two,
Okay.
Dante and Virgil, would work better if they were talking before Virgil shot a pregnant woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get into it more, but they are very chummy after a lot of the reprehensible stuff Virgil does.
Oop, I gotta hold my tongue again.
You know what you have to do. You lure him out, and I close the Hellgate with the Yamato. Then we go for the kill.
Any ideas how I draw him out?
We killed his unborn child. Get him rabid.
Got it.
But do not try and kill him. He is immortal until I shut down the Hellgate.
Right.
This is it, Dante. We have to put our lives into each other's hands completely, without hesitation.
We are brothers, after all.
You know what? In a
At least that
vacuum,
level
that
wasn't that long.
In a vacuum, that puzzle was fine. I like that kind of a logic puzzle to suss out.
I don't mind the logic of it. It's just having to control it while going yeah and whoa is just annoying.
The point I was gonna make is that I've been playing Final Fantasy VII Remake, the first one, that came out, and I got to the abandoned train yard, that stretch of level, and the puzzles you have to do with the arms, the mechanical arms, and I wanted to die replaying that. Those were some of the worst, jankiest, most tedious, time-wasting fucking things. And they have the bespoke interface and everything for them, where you shift to a mode where you exclusively control those, but that does nothing to address the core issue of it just killing the momentum.
Yeah.
Dead in its fucking tracks. The problem isn't whether it's done in the combat engine or a bespoke interface or whatever. It's just the fact that it's murder on a game's pace. Put puzzles into a game that is not a puzzle game. It can be done if it's slight. It can be done like Resident Evil. Generally doesn't waste too much of your fucking time or use too much brain power either, for that matter. It makes you feel like you're doing something, some sort of busy work besides the work of killing. So I'm not opposed to having those segments in games to change the pace, but they have to be inserted at like very opportune moments, and they can't fucking overstay their welcome.
Yeah.
You ready for the penultimate level?
Oh yeah. But yeah, no, I love Final Fantasy VII Remake, but there is a lot of padding and time wasting in that game.
So now,
Okay, remember how we talked about waiting for the other shoe to drop when it came to the baby situation? This is where it drops.
Why did you kill my child? I will ask you again. Why did you kill my child?
Because you killed my mother.
Ah. So it was revenge. I see.
It was more than that.
Oh?
It was for freedom.
Freedom? Well, you seem to have all the freedom you need. The freedom to murder my heir.
I'm not talking about my freedom. I'm talking about mankind's.
Mankind. And what would mankind do with freedom, do you suppose? Because when I arrived, they had it. And what do you think they did with it? They fought They killed. They starved. I brought prosperity. I brought structure. And what have you brought? Besides violence, war, death.
Say something about the baby.
I love that shot. And just whoop in the frame.
You know, Armandus, you're right. It wasn't for mankind, it was for revenge. I gotta tell you, killing your child like that, watching it explode into little wet chunks, hearing you scream like one of you little demon bitches, priceless.
I'm going to make you watch while I eat your beating heart.
Okay, let's shut this thing down.
This is just like hacking a computer.
You see, you wouldn't have got it was a parallel if they didn't show you that shot.
You would have
Yeah,
forgotten
it's very
by now.
subtle what they're doing here.
Because you're stupid.
Hellgate.
My oven.
Yeah, you're right. This is way better. Things are
Yeah.
way better now. Yeah. it's-
You're done.
Everything's fixed.
Oh yeah, by the way, did you know Virgil could teleport?
Yeah, because I played the other games.
Weird he's ever done that before in this game.
You okay, Dante?
Not quite the Team Ninja logo, but
You took your time.
You're welcome.
Still have a lot to say. Believe you me, we have a lot to say, but we gotta wait for
Yeah,
this
yeah.
By the-
fucking cutscene then.
I would like to go first, by the way, because I know
Yeah, yeah.
how long you're going to talk about it. I want to say something about it, which is going to echo something that I said last week. Everyone, good news! You're free.
Oh, I forgot he turns into the final boss from Path of Neo.
You know, the city really is a character.
You ready for this?
We can kill him now?
The Hellgate is shut.
Never! Any ideas? You see that eye of his? Yeah. His demon child had something like that. We start there. We'll have to get it open. You're an asshole! Keep him busy. I'll try and get the eye exposed.
I really wish Virgil had just gone. Great comeback there, Dante.
Just stay alive until I expose his eye.
The timing of the never. You got any ideas? Is unintentionally funny, as you might expect. Okay, Sharky, go
Okay.
off.
All right, so I'm gonna do this quick because I know you're gonna want to have a lot to say. So bearing in mind, plot-wise, Virgil did say, "I need you to specifically say something that is going to piss him off. Like, I need you to get him extremely angry with the things you say." So it's not like Dante said it unprompted. On the other hand, a writer did write that. Someone did make the situation in which Dante needs to say something like that, and then wrote Dante saying that thing. So,
Get to the eye.
there's that. All right.
Okay, yeah, I mean, that's my point, ultimately, is that, yes, for the specific task that needs to be accomplished, it's not like Dante really believes what he's saying. That much is obvious, is patently obvious, because, the conversation he was having before, well, if it was an argument, if it was a debate, he was losing it, because he had nothing. He had no response. It's clear he has not thought this whole thing through at all, and, that's a flaw in and of itself, or something that could have been turned into like an interesting bit of character writing if he was to respond to being like, well, if he had like stalled out in such a way where it was clear that he didn't have a response to what Mundus said, that'd be one thing.
Look.
And then he had to go for plan B.
See that?
Yeah.
I see it.
And an issue I also have with that,
To get in there and kill him.
Mundus's whole speech there doesn't fit his character. For him to suddenly be like, "Oh, from my point of view, the Jedi are evil." Yeah. Like, that doesn't fit his character at all. And I wouldn't believe that he would do that to like trick Dante into thinking that either.
Mundus is merged with his physical body.
So here's the point. Here's the
so
broader point I
forced,
want to
yeah.
make.
So if we kill his body,
Okay.
we kill Mundus.
So we're here. Dante made it. He's in the inner
Yeah.
sanctum. Virgil is there too, ready to pounce on the Hellgates. They've accomplished their mission. They just need to get him out of the room. Why does that require getting Mundus angry to the extent that he rages out? Couldn't they have just started fighting and then moved the fight out of the room? Why did he have to get him that pissed and take a hit like that? Just logically, there's a million ways they could have accomplished that objective of getting him out of the room. And
the story logic is being in that room is where he's the most powerful, I guess. It's not said out loud. It's not well explained, granted. And I might be making it up even, because maybe it is just a Hellgate makes him powerful wherever he is.
Yeah, I think it's
But
just
I
its
assume it's
existence.
proximity based. Yeah.
I think they implied more that it's if the Hellgate is open, period.
What have you
Yeah. But the other thing you could probably just say is like, and again, if they had established this earlier, it'd be great that he's smart, he's this leader, he's been in charge for however long, that he needs to be angered to make him make stupid mistakes. But again, they didn't establish it, they didn't have a pattern of, oh, we know we can exploit this in him. I guess the closest to that is when they, when the sniper scene happens, he like wrecks half the city in anger.
I see.
But the plan was always to anger him before then. So, the order doesn't work there. Also, we haven't talked about the gameplay here, but I could talk about this. This is just the worst boss from Devil May Cry 4. This is the Savior boss fight. Which is, that game has issues, and one of them is the big giant Savior fight, which is just a gimmick fight like this. And it's very sad that they took Mundus and replaced him with the worst boss from Devil May Cry 4. And also just, how different Mundus is, and now that he's in this form, now he has the voice he had in Devil May Cry 1, and he's saying, like, he's talking more like him. It's just so lame. It's like, yeah, we get it. It's the same character, but different. It's not earned,
Slime in chat says, that's so lame that they made a whole video game where the objective is to troll someone. Gun Tanks in Space says, oh yeah, speaking of bosses, this is a succubus boss all over again. It's every boss fight.
Yeah.
In this game.
There is one, and I'll say the Hunter is a bit unique. It does some of this as well, the first one, but it at least moves around the stage. It's a bit more of a actual entity and not just a God of War tutorial boss, which is what this is. And one more thing about the scene. Do you know what actually would have been interesting to build the conflict between Dante and Virgil was to have Dante not be able to go through with it. and have that be the moral quandary, and then Virgil's the one who's like, hey, we're gonna swap places, and then I'll go say these reprehensible things, and Dante reacts to it. So you
There's a
could
million things they could have done.
Yeah.
They didn't do any of them. And this is what we're left with.
Bobinay says the Demon Baby boss was an actual fight, wasn't it? Not really, no. It mostly, again, stands in one space.
Just gonna go ahead and
Yeah, go
just
for it.
You
don't got
do the
anything to prove
patterns
here.
until you can like grapple hook out the actual weak point. Whee! Oh yeah, we've got some sick dubstep.
official boss theme of this game is wub 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 wub.
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed people in early episodes would mention, oh yeah, Noisia was the one who specifically did the boss themes. And I can fuck with dubstep from time to time. But like calling these boss themes, I think, is very generous because they don't sound distinct outside of a little bit of the music in the baby boss fight.
They don't have like a real solid hook to them that you can like recall.
And none of them are really themed to the person that you're fighting.
Yeah.
I mean, the ultimate example of that is obviously Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, where they're all lyric songs, where lyrics are directly about the backstories of the people you're fighting. That's a step above and beyond, obviously. But, you know, it would be nice if the music reflected in some way some aspect of the boss's personality. That if they were totally unique from one another, if they weren't all in the same generic style.
You know what game does that? Devil May Cry 5. Doesn't like go the full route doing the lyric thing, but outside of like the one or two themes that have lyrics, but the themes are very distinct between bosses.
Can I? Yes.
You got no arms, you stupid pillock.
No Python.
Oh, fair enough. Oh, that was a weird cut.
Yeah.
I wonder if they fixed that in Definitive Edition, because I don't remember it being that bad.
That was kind of a nothing burger of a fight, if I'm being honest.
Oh, you don't say.
Dante, it's not over yet. You need to say more bad things about his baby.
Rub salt in the wound.
I did it.
We saved the city, brother. We did it.
Yeah, people were joking, but they're happy. They're celebrating. This is what they wanted.
Everything's right with the world.
I mean, this is the point that Mundus was making, right? Whether he believed it or not.
Yeah. Oh, wait.
Is that, like,
Cass,
he gave people
Cass.
a structure. Yeah, I know. What the fuck? Bro.
I'm trying to remember. It was either Facebook or Twitter very early on looked more like this.
This is trying to ape Twitter specifically.
Yeah, yeah. This was close to the...
We have
yes.
awoken.
Fucking tricked y'all. This game was woke the whole time.
No!
Not really. Not really. But actually, turns out.
I mean, you can make the argument, the counterpoint that Dante should have made to Mundus when Mundus was all about, like, we gave him a system, we gave him a control. I mean, you can liken it to the conversations that, you know, Snake and Raiden have with the Patriots, with the Lale Lo and Metal Gear Solid, where they're like, we're providing a system, we're giving people, like, you know, a structure to their lives. If they didn't have it, it'd be chaos, it'd be anarchy. And, you know, ultimately, the decision that characters like Snake and Raiden and Dante here make for the world is it's better to live in chaos and anarchy as long as like if it's the truth, if it's the reality.
Yeah.
It is better to pull the wool off from over your eyes, even if that reality sucks. Then you can start to work to improve that reality. Does
Yeah.
Dante say any of this? No.
That's why I hate Mundus' speech so much, because none this whole I brought order, people were starving and fighting all the time. It's like yeah, they seem great now. Like it doesn't come off as delusional, like grand you know, what's it called?
Self-aggrandizing.
Yeah. It's just oh, someone thought it'd be pithy to do a who's the real villain writing at the end. It's like, well, no, you have to write it that way. And
By the
funny enough,
way-
it's just ripping off the Devil May Cry 4 story, where the cult in that creates their like savior to like, you know, they purposely let demons invade reality so they can make the savior to be like, oh, we'll save you, everyone worship us. Like it's just that story over again, just done worse.
Before we move on to the final level, I do want to say that I like the implication that the demons already had Twitter accounts set up. They just had to like kind of act natural until like Limbo collapsed. They were ready, but they just had to be posting shit about like selfie, just went and got some matcha latte.
Smoothies with the bangs.
Yeah, the Twitter update drops that shows where the accounts were created and says created in Demon World. What?
I can't believe they have metadata down there.
And you
Can I
wanna
run
do
to the
something?
bathroom real quick? Can you stall out conversation for like a minute? Just buy me like 1 minute.
yeah.
Sure.
Before you start the cutscene, because I want to be here for it. So I'll be right back.
I'll go to the shop and just dick around with
Yeah.
gameplay in here.
Yeah, I'll check some stuff, chat. This is a good one. Yeah, Guntax in Space mentions that the last tweet was using to meme Antinardis' old Twitter handle, Super
good.
Ninja Tam. Yeah, I remember that. It's a shame. I wanted to find it because there were some forum posts talking about. Apparently, he was being very spicy on Twitter around the time of this game, but at some point he completely purged that account, and besides like 1 or 2 posts, it's completely lost to time, I'm pretty sure. It's a shame. You know those lost media guys? Get them on that.
Old Twitter accounts.
Yeah, I want the Tamim files. I want to see what he said. But
That's
yeah,
the
it's
other
just-
side effect of virility. It makes you piss like a racehorse.
True that, yeah.
See, I'm going to be a professional and just do that during the next cutscene.
And yeah, we
not
didn't go into
mention
too much, but the implication that, oh yeah, the world with all the demons running around is, well, that's better because it's just an analogy. It's like, well, it's not an analogy in the story, mate. And, you know, all the people getting massacred and all that. Like, you get why, you know, in the writing, Dante isn't that bent out of shape about what Virgil does. Because their ultimate goal was still, like, a lot of people getting killed and fucked up and put into this, like, war zone, essentially.
Was Dante even aware that this was the ultimate goal? That this was the end
He
game?
seems... The way they, like, put their hands on each other's shoulder and all that, it seems...
That smile he does from
Yeah.
profile view where he seems pretty fucking pleased with himself. I mean, it would have to be. He would
I
have to
guess,
be aware of
yeah,
it.
I guess he knew,
And-
like, off screen.
And a bit of what comes up to here, but...
Alright,
that's
well, yeah,
minor
let's
to
get
the
into
grand.
what comes up here.
Yeah.
Final level.
Yep. The end.
What's happening?
Limbo has collapsed into the real world. What was once hidden is now laid bare for all to see. Revolution is in the air.
I never believed I'd live to see this day.
Just the beginning of the end for the demons. Mankind would be free.
Yes. Free from the demons. The path is clear for us to rule.
Whoa!
What did you just say?
The path is clear for us to rule.
To rule what?
This. Everything.
Virgil.
You mean like Mundus?
No. No. We'll be nothing like Mundus. We'll respect our subjects, not enslave them.
Subjects.
He means you. He means humans.
I thought we were fighting for freedom.
It was his freedom we were fighting for, not yours.
Don't be so simplistic. Humans are frail. They're like children. They need protection. Not just from others, but from themselves. We, you and I, have saved them.
You and I saved them?
Who else?
A human.
Cat was useful, but
Useful.
Cat saved my life. Cat held out under torture to keep your existence a secret. Cat led us through the tower to Mundus's lair. We would have failed 20 times over if it weren't for her.
listen. If you can't see the chaos that humans will cause, if you don't want the responsibility of protecting them, then stand aside. I'll rule alone.
I didn't help you destroy Mundus so that you could take his place. I can't let you do this, Virgil.
And I can't let you stop me, brother. Stand aside.
Don't do this.
Virgil, please.
Stay out of this!
Love that shot of her cowering next to the trash can.
You know, it's apropos because this scene is fucking garbage.
Oh, I just meant it's like that's where this game places its women in the story.
Yeah, that too.
Hey, Virgil, who did you expect to go to be like, okay, I rule all of this now. I'm in charge. My qualifications, I'm good with a sword. So, yeah, everyone just let me rule.
Except it was established in law that he needs help from Dante in physical fights all the time. Yeah! I forgot about that.
So, like, what was your plan, Virgil? Were you just gonna, like, go on TV and say, like, hey, everyone, I'm in charge now. Just so you know.
Yeah. So, first, I have a point. I want to highlight a comment from Robot Dwarf 32 in chat that says, I can't believe the guy who shot an unborn baby is evil. But here's the problem. Yes, he's evil. But nothing about him wanting to be the ruler of humanity or thinking that humans are like wild animals that need guidance has ever been a part of his character in this game.
No, he went full mask off, like, out of nowhere. To the point where
even the line before he says he's going to rule over humanity, he says revolution is in the air. Like, even if he's an asshole, this is a 180 turn. This is a 360 turn, brother. As the Hogan would say.
Yeah, like, we've established he's an asshole, or he's being portrayed more as an asshole now, but this does seem like it comes out of nowhere, still.
Yeah. And the idea he would think that Dante, rebel, I don't give a shit guy, would be into this plan that he's not letting him in on. And people are bringing up the trilby, which, good job on you, Dario, for getting the hat right. But that's not the developer intent. There's a reason they took that out of the definitive edition. They didn't quite get the implication they're making with that. Again, the issue is not him turning out to be a dick. It's just that the specific, like, you know, oh, I'm, like, you know, it's the same side of the coin as Mundus thing. It doesn't fit the character they wrote, is the problem.
And I'll also say that...
Yeah, I was going to pass over to you, Cass, yeah.
You have no sense if he actually believes in his conviction, if that's an actual belief he holds or not, because you've had no real development, because this is such a 180 turn. If it had been, like, you know, an uneasy alliance, I'm thinking of, like, Injustice 2, Batman and Superman, they're, you know, after the events of the first game, forced to work together, and it's a begrudging alliance where Superman is broken out of prison by Batman, who put him there in the first place, under the implicit promise that, like, we're going to work together, don't fucking kill anyone, and then it comes to an head, because they know that's going to come to a head. They know that there's an inevitable confrontation at the end, but they can still work together and have moments of, like, levity even, in the time before that inevitable moment. So you could write this to where Dante knows from the start or from a certain point that Virgil is going to have to be a threat that he takes care of later. But they didn't go that route because they thought this would be a surprise.
Can someone
even
read
though-
Guntanks' comment, please?
Yeah, I'll read this. Guntank says, I hate this boss fight execution because at the time, this really felt like a watered down Virgil 3. That's the third time you fight him. With a lot of, oh, hey, we're doing the thing. Yeah, and yeah, that's the ultimate problem. That's why this fight is here. It's so they can do the Devil May Cry 3 thing. And I'll say, because you see it here, they do give him some new gimmicks, which is cool. And you're playing it, so I hope you can confirm, but is this probably the best fight encounter in the game, Sharky?
It's still lame. I don't know.
Yeah,
like, I'm
in the
so
grand
disappointed
scheme,
in
but
this fight because, like, the fight
I didn't remember
against
it being this
Virgil
easy,
is
though.
supposed to be like the rival fight, right? It's supposed to be this big back
Yeah.
and forth, and this is just so much like I'm waiting for my very obvious opening every single time.
And it's almost over already.
Yeah.
Yeah, Definitive Edition, they definitely make it harder. This was very quick. And I'll say as
I
well...
also want to say this real
I
quick.
understand what they want me to do,
go
by
ahead.
the way.
That in the conversation, the problem with the writing in this game...
I win.
Well, I'll get to it later.
But there's also the big thing about Virgil being weaker, and they set that up canonically. And maybe you think, oh, was he just pretending the whole time? Stay tuned for episode 5 of the stream. For that. Future plug.
Dante, don't kill him.
He was right all along. I think we should be the king.
I am begging you. Please stop. For me.
Dante should say something like, now a human saved your life, so add that to the tally. But he won't.
The world is under my protection now.
I'm in charge.
You've chosen the wrong side. You're not human, Dante. You never will be.
Speaking of injustice, too. This fucking shot.
I have one thing to say when this cutscene ends, just Definitive Edition differences.
I don't know who I am anymore.
I know exactly who you are. You are Dante. Nothing more and nothing less.
Oh, hello. Okay, so in the Definitive Edition, that end cutscene, for some reason, is slightly longer, where they show Dante and Kat turn around and walk away from the camera. And then, while they're walking away, Dante's hand moves, like, it's on a back shoulder, and then it moves down to a ass. And then it cuts the credits.
Good work. Dino Gem
I do
awarded.
not
Very
know why
important
they
they
added that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. To show that he can be a little devilish sometimes.
Yeah.
Devilishly coy.
But that being said, Sharky did it!
Yay! I can't hit the Your Winner screen yet because it'll black out the game, but yay.
Oh, yeah.
So to answer your question, was it the best boss fight? No, actually. They were like Bob Barbas, which is not actually a good boss fight, was still a more engaging an entertaining boss fight,
okay.
and then Virgil was there.
Ah, fair enough. Maybe that's Definitive Edition I'm thinking of.
I don't know, maybe it would have been Ninja Babies. Maybe it would have been better if I was on not Devil, Nephilim mode a little bit, but I doubt it. That did just seem like a fight of wait for the one obvious opening, do my combo, and then it cuts to a little cutscene over and over and over again. And that last bit just being the scripted, like, build up your Devil Trigger and do one hit and you win.
Yeah.
Like I said, the final fight should really be, especially in a Devil May Cry game, against Virgil, really should be this thing that is a rival fight, where it is two people who are, like, have
equally matched.
Yeah, equally matched, have basically the same capabilities, feel like a real back and forth, rather than this thing where I am really just waiting for him to do the one move that is the most obvious opening, do my canned combo, and then see a cutscene that interrupts the fight over and over and over again. Like, how many cutscene cuts were there in that fight that just stopped the fight?
Yeah,
it was 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, whew. We'll get in. We're not ready for final thoughts yet, right? We're gonna wait till after.
Yeah, we're
the
saving that
credits.
for after credits, and once you set some stuff up, and
Yeah.
also you have to hit that your winner screen too,
Yeah.
because you deserve it. Can I get one more point out just about that scene, about the big confrontation, big debate between Dante and Virgil, and just one of the things it reflects is how every time characters get into a debate over ideals, one person will make a compelling point, and the other person will have no answer for it. And that's just like that's just hack writing is what it is.
That's for
It's
you
when
to
Dante,
decide as
like,
the audience.
It's when Dante says, like, fucking whatever it is he says to like about humans, about like what Cat did. He raises a very good point. Like, you're writing off humans. Look at all the shit Cat did for you. You would not be here if not for Cat. We would not have won if not for Cat. And what is Virgil's response to this point? Look, if you don't want to agree with me, then we wouldn't have to fight, okay? It's just like, okay, well, fuck it, whatever. You know, let's not have a conversation. Let's not. Oh, look at him. He's flipping us off. He's right off on the skateboard, flipping us off. That's so cool.
Okay.
Thanks for playing
that
my
might be
game.
another-
Fuck you.
That might be another thing in Definitive Edition, because in some version of the credits you can hear him. He says the "My name is Dante" line, and then does that.
Sick.
I'll get you a clip of that later, Cass. Yeah,
It's
I think
like
that's
the
all
writers-
the bonus videos. Yeah.
Writers kept writing themselves into holes that they could not escape from, that they could not climb out of. And so their only reprieve is just to be like, well, fuck it, have them fight at this point. I don't know how to end this. I don't know how this character would respond. Fuck it.
Well, like,
Don't
they
respond.
have to fight. Like, we start at the point of they have to fight, and then work our way there in a bad way.
I'm going to make a point here that's going to blow your mind. Fucking the Star Wars prequel trilogy had more clear and concise exchanges of ideas than this. You made a joke earlier, Johnny, about from my point of view, the Jedi are evil. And then, you know what the response to that is by not Qui-Gon Jinn, by Obi-Wan? He's like, then we've reached an impasse, then we have to fight. That's more of a response than any character in this game gives. That's more of like a clear exchange of ideas and like stating of objectives and perspectives than this game ever fucking bothers with. And that's some of the worst writing of all time, though, that prequel trilogy.
Yeah, no, that's a.
So that's the level we're operating at. We're sub George Lucas as writer at this point. If only it was faster, louder, and more intense.
Oh, yeah, just loop this on.
You know, these credits would go by quicker if they use the left side of the screen, too. Put in some credits.
No, we gotta leave all that negative space here.
Ran out behind-the-scenes footage. Just leave it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it turns out the development of this game actually went pretty easily. We don't have any concept art. We just all kind of knew what we were doing. And we just committed it to the polygon straight away.
But yeah, I really want to hammer as well. It's just the game does such a weird thing that it sets up that Virgil is the physically weaker Link. Like it even has scenarios where you have to help him, and it's kind of funny because it even comes off in the fight in a certain sense. Oh yeah, no, he's not gonna win this. So why does he try and have a one-on-one fight with Dante?
Because he thinks he can outwit him. I mean, whatever. You can hand wave that with him, just being like, well, I might not be physically more powerful. I'm still physically powerful enough to potentially land a killing blow if I outsmart him. if my tricks that I use, my little duplication ninja spell where I turn into
yeah.
3 people, he's thinking the technique alone will save him.
That'd be cool if that was the whole fight. I think, like if that it was more than just the end phase, you know.
I honestly forgot
that's the
how
design and
bad that
story
final
not
fight
lining
was.
up there. Yeah, I think they must have really worked on it for Definitive Edition, because that's the version I'm more familiar with, having played and watched, and I remember it being like a more involved fight for sure.
Yeah, I can't imagine like the Nephilim version of that fight being that much more involved. Like maybe he just has less opening, maybe he has more attacks that are a little harder to dodge, but I can't imagine it being much like mechanically better.
Yeah, we should also talk about the other thing, is that so the whole origin story hair analogy thing. At the end, he gets the white hair, and that's supposed to represent some character growth in Dante.
A million years worth of character growth.
It's still weird to me because it specifically represents demon and hereditary demon stuff in their bloodline. And you can see the reason why his hair goes all white is because the demon form overtakes him and Cat has to talk him down. Which, as I mentioned, is something that happens in the prequel comic with Virgil as well. So it's weird that him siding with humans coincides with
what
him
the fuck
going
is wrong
more
with you
demonic.
Look at that.
That's a great point.
Yo, get your body beat. Tell me this is copyright music, by the way. That's
I'm sure it is.
This has to be. It absolutely is, right? So this episode's not getting monetized. Cool.
We'll see. We were lucky so far. Just the weird, trailer footage that they think we used.
Yeah, we'll see.
But that's the parallel they're trying to do. That the white hair represents character growth. It's but then you can't tie that to the demon side of him if the whole thing is that Dante, it's I don't care about my lineage. I'm with humanity.
I mean, do you see that as
very conflicting ideas?
Do you see that as being emotional character growth, or it could just be okay, now he's fully awakened into his power?
I think the hair is supposed to be an analogy for his emotional growth.
No,
at the same time, he does have the statement he makes, he doesn't even know who he is anymore. Because I think in that moment, he catches himself. A human saves him from committing, not patricide, that's killing your father, but killing his brother. From committing. Thank you. And so, I think he's at a moment where the demon almost came close to overtaking him. He's not sure who he is or where he stands, and it's Cat's going to be the one to walk him through it, to guide him on the right path. Is what they're trying to convey in that moment, more than the hair being character growth. I think the hair is there to represent that he came close to the edge.
Yeah.
As close as he could ever come.
It's just funny considering that the whole idea was this was supposed to be a character origin. And, the whole reason they changed the hair in the first place was to do that reveal. And it's it doesn't add anything. You could have done the same story without that hair color change.
You completed Devil May Cry.
Yeah.
We got Son of Sparta with remixed enemy setup and behaviors, and we got white hair Dante. But first,
and again, there's
real quick. Screen is going to disappear for a moment, but that's just so I can hit. Where is it?
And while you're here, put us up on screen for the as we talk through our conclusionary thoughts on the game.
What I'm going to do for that is just so we have something kind of in the background. A sort of Subway Surfers-esque maintain interest thing.
Second screen experience.
Yeah. So I'm going to turn the volume down a lot. All right. Yeah, we're going to be doing Bloody Palace. Which is just, waves of enemies. It's always been in this. Bloody Palace is fun if you want to just dig around. But Johnny, you're going to take a lead on this so I can get my thoughts first. All right.
Yep,
you in?
I'm in.
All right. Okay. So, what did I think of DmC Devil May Cry? I'm gonna start with gameplay. I think that this game makes a good first impression when it comes to gameplay. I think that when you're getting started, like, you're realizing that this is not Devil May Cry. Like, this does not really, truly play like Devil May Cry. With the whole... Oh, that was abrupt. With the whole, weapon system of, like, basically having modes that you're in. Instead of, like, actually switching weapons, you're just sort of being in... Now I'm in Devil mode. Now I am in Angel mode. And I am, like, switching back and forth. Something about that is still... kind of fun. There's an element to this game where it's just hit button do cool thing. Like, it almost feels like an introduction to a character action game. Because when you look at, like, normal Devil May Cry gameplay, there's a lot of cool execution stuff you can do to make it, like, look real sick. But you do need to put in the work. You do need to learn how to do that stuff. And in this game, you can just sort of hit buttons, especially because there's only 2 combos, more or less. There's just 2 combos, and you can switch between any of them with any weapon as you go to just make things look cool. You know, that's fine. It is fine to have a game that is like just like a broader appeal, an easier character action game to make you feel like you're doing the stuff that you would see higher end players do. That's not an issue. The problem is there are so many, like, purely bad gameplay decisions that, like, come from the design they're doing that do make it more complicated and make it just more tedious as well. Going back to the Demon Angel thing, having enemies that can only be hit by Demon or Angel weapons, and it will reflect if you hit the wrong thing. That's real bad design, especially when they start mixing those things up. It's not really challenging, it's just... A, it's annoying, but also it's just kind of boring. Because if you have an enemy that is, like, just weak to Angel weapons or something, that means all you're doing is 2 combos. That is all you have access to at that point, is those 2 things. And it just kind of, like, flattens the gameplay to a point where it's like, oh, I'm just kind of doing the motions. And that's kind of what a lot of the combat started to feel like towards the end. There was not a lot to it past a certain point, beyond, like, I know what motions I have to do to kill all these enemies. It's not being engaging anymore. And that became true with the bosses as well. A lot of the bosses were those just God of War-esque bosses. Virgil was, like, extreme disappointment. We get a lot of people saying, well, the Bob Barbas fight is, like, still pretty good, though. I think it is the best fight in the game, the best boss fight in the game, partially because it... Did you finish Bloody Palace?
There's a timer.
They ran out of time.
Oh, okay.
They added a timer to it. Spoilers, they took it out of Definitive Edition because people didn't like it.
Oh, go again.
Yeah, let's go again. I should devil triggered earlier.
Yeah, the Bob Barbas fight at least is, like, creative in certain ways with switching between, like, helicopter footage, news footage during a fight, all that. And I think this game, it does have, like, style in its favor. It does things with, you know, some of the camera cuts, not all of them, some of the camera cuts are, like, garbage, but with, like, environments, with the music, with framing on certain things that are cool looking, but it's... I think it goes too far in certain places of that. Like, it's like, okay, tone it down. And it just doesn't have the gameplay to back it up. I think, when I think about going into this game for this playthrough, I was looking back at this going like, I remember enjoying playing this. And that really just came down to, I remembered the beginning of this game when it was, like, kind of fresh. I didn't remember where this game went and how kind of, like, tired I get of it by the end of it. And I think that might be some of the response. Okay, before I make that statement, I recognize I'm not playing Definitive Edition. I have never played Definitive Edition. I don't know how the gameplay is there different. But I have a hunch that when some people are saying, actually, this game was good, they may be thinking about Definitive Edition, which is not the version that was launched. It was a significantly different version than the product that was received when this came out. Or they may be remembering this as I was. The initial impression of like, oh, hey, I'm actually surprised by how this simplified system actually kind of works and feels good in places without remembering, oh, yeah, the last part of this game kind of really chugs, though. Like, that's kind of an easy thing to fall into every now and then, is to just kind of forget, like, the negatives of something you interacted with and just kind of remember the little bit positive bits.
Can I raise a point real quick in this?
Sure.
Or just a question for you, I should say. Because there are people who I know play these games, and the first playthrough is the practice playthrough, is the warm-up, is the learning the mechanics, and will tell you that the game doesn't really get good until like the 5th playthrough, until you unlock this mode and the enemies have their full move sets and whatnot.
With DmC, it's usually the 2nd playthrough.
All right, so how would you respond to that and people who are going to complain about this only having shown the first playthrough?
I will say that I think it's possible that enemy behavior might get slightly more interesting, but the basic verbs of gameplay are still going to be there. Your toolset is still going to be your toolset. Like, I pretty much have it almost entirely unlocked right now, and while I haven't gone through everything, I haven't done a bunch of stuff with Kablooey. There's some tech I'm missing. It's still like clumsy on the base level with how some like levels are laid out. It's like the levels are never going to get better, right? The really long levels that like stretched on and on, like that one building level, that's not going to get better with future playthroughs. And like key problems with like the color coding with some of those enemies, like the tyrants. The tyrants are so tedious to fight. Like, they're not that hard, but I don't think that ever is going to get better. If anything, it's just going to get worse if they become more spongy. So I'm moving on from gameplay, which I think it's like there's a germ of a good idea in there. I think they fumble it by the end by just kind of running out of ideas or just making it more tedious. I think the style in places is fine. I think some of it's kind of cool. Some of it does go on to be used in other things that are better. The story is trash. Like, I don't know. It feels like they want Dante to be cool here, right? So, here's the thing. I've been thinking about this. Dante in the original DmC games, he is not cool, per se. He's a dork. He does goofy things. He's, Wahoo Pizza Man. He surfs around on guys while going, woohoo, woohee. He just acts like a goofball. He does, like, Shakespeare at a boss in DMC4. But he's cool still because he doesn't give a shit. Right? Like, he is out there being goofy, but he has all the skills to back it up. He can kick ass and do cool things in combat. And that is what makes him cool. He is, like, effortlessly cool. This Dante and the writing in this game are trying way too hard. Like, that's a huge problem with this tone. Is it wants to be cool by way of being edgy. And it comes off as more lame than the lamest that real Dante's ever been. Right? Like, Dante reading poetry in a goofy voice is cooler than this Dante going like, fuck you, or when your baby blew up into chunks and all that stuff. And yeah, we also can't ignore that, man, the writers are fucked in this, weren't they? Like, again, they were trying to make it edgy and cool by doing shit like writing about abuse and writing situations in which, a baby gets killed. Like, even ignoring the fact that, we had that baby as a boss fight was a giant monster. It wasn't a giant monster when it got killed. They treated that as like an actual normal baby. They're trying to do so much to be edgy, trying to do so much to get attention, trying to do so much to like be like, this is hardcore, and it just comes off as really pathetic, really sophomoric, really just like teenage. Hi, iCat. We're just wrapping up. It really comes off as just. Yeah, sophomoric is where I'm gonna leave it at. It's kind of embarrassing. And if it's a story that's also, you know, I'll say it, it's offensive. The way they treat women. Some of the writing they do. If this is a game where you were to play it and you were to immediately bounce off because of how they handle topics, I completely understand. Like, if that is a bridge too far, absolutely understand that. But even without the story, no, this one wasn't good. This isn't a good game. It does not hold up as a DMC game for sure, but even if you just look at it as a character action game, even if you look at it as an intro to character action games, there's so many better ones you could be playing. And I think that's a thing that if you look at this and you go like, this game was peak, actually. It's like, again, if you're talking about the I can't speak for Definitive, but if you're talking about the original, if you think this game was peak, boy, there's a whole wide world of video games out there that you could play instead, and you'd be like, oh wait, actually, I was not anywhere near the peak. I was still in the valley. I hadn't even hired my Sherpa yet. There's so much better out there than DMC Devil May Cry that you could be playing. So yeah, I didn't hate every moment of this, but by the end, I was like, actually, this is pretty lame.
Cool.
All right.
Pass it on to Johnny.
Yeah.
And Johnny passed back the controls, I suppose.
Yeah.
Good work. Dino Gem awarded.
So let's get this out of the way, because it's always the thing. This is a way better game than Devil May Cry 2. Don't.
Oh yeah,
every so often you still get people who will make that debate. It's like, no. If there's an argument about which one is tonally a better Devil May Cry game, that's a more nuanced topic. But Devil May Cry 2 is barely a game at points. This is, for all its faults, like, it feels like a complete product. It might have like massive plot holes. Its combat might not be as fleshed out as it thinks it is, but it's like, it at least feels like a product that was considered done when it was released. So yeah, on the gameplay, I'll be honest. I don't like how this game controls. Obviously, there's some of the it doesn't play how you expect a Devil May Cry game to play. I obviously haven't had much time hands-on in this playthrough. If you ever see it where I just randomly turned away from an enemy, that's because I was trying to do a directional input this game doesn't have. But having to hold triggers to go into modes, which locks out other moves you can do, I don't like that system. I wish it was taps. Having the dedicated dodge button, I don't like it in this because
your health is draining.
I didn't realize that.
You can get a little bit if you devil trigger. But it takes away the onus that jumping is also a way to evade. And also the evade is so bad in this because you can get hit. You probably saw it when I was doing the Bloody Palace there. Sometimes I would roll out the way and still get hit. So that's great. That's not how you want any dodge to work. Like, if they were going to do a dedicated dodge, they should have done it Trickster style, where you zip and then you have, you're invincible for like the entire animation and whatnot. And even though this game has 5 melee weapons, 3 guns, it honestly feels like a very small moveset. Like, in a way, I feel like he has less moves here than Devil May Cry 4 Dante did with 3 melee weapons and 3 guns. Just the way they've simplified him, and there's an argument to make of like making a game like a Devil May Cry with a simplified moveset. That's what Nero was, a unified moveset. I just don't think it necessarily works here, especially when he's the only character. You have to remember Virgil was a DLC character. And yeah, I think you know, it doesn't feel necessarily bad to play. It's just those are some specific things I don't like. But in terms of like the depth and complexity of the systems, this game, it's crude. I can't think of a different name. It blows its load early. It shows off everything by the midway point, and a couple of extra enemies showing up and getting the 2 guns, which for some reason you get in the back half of the game, doesn't help with that. You just feel like you've seen everything. You brought up, Cass, the point about playing this on the bigger difficulties, and that's kind of where the real depth unlocks. I don't know personally, I just have a hard time seeing that happening, because this game is, you can kind of just mash to get stuff working. It's not built around tactile inputs and those kind of systems. So it would be more about just making the enemies more advanced and actually making the combat more expansive, because this game's designed to look like high-level play, regardless of your play level. As I've mentioned, I don't think the platforming solution here is good. I think it is just...
okay.
It is just a on-rails replacement, which is like, if you couldn't come up with good platforming, you might as well have just scrapped it, instead of just these kind of time-wasty, you know, like quick time events with invisible prompts that on a repeat playthrough are just going to get more and more tedious. You know, at least platforming you can get better at and faster at, and that's more compelling in a repeat playthrough. This kind of platforming isn't. I'm just trying to get all my gameplay stuff out the way first. And yeah, the boss fights are very weak in this. They're all very God of War spectacle tutorial fights. Even God of War like gets more advanced and will have like rival fights and people who can fight on your level and match your skill. And you don't really get that here. Even Virgil is mostly a letdown in that regard. And, you know, keeping some of the worst elements of Devil May Cry 4 as well. Not great in that front. And
you know what I want to do,
like,
by
we didn't
the way,
talk about it
while we're doing this next part, instead of going to Bully Palace. What if I just did the final boss fight on the hardest difficulty and just see if there's anything different?
Yeah. That'd be fun, actually, yeah.
Skip cutscenes, but go on.
Yeah. We did go as well, but also just the weird focus on collectibles this game has. Like, more so than any other Devil May Cry game, there are so many little collectibles in currencies. It's like there's a collectathon hidden inside this game. It's very strange. And I think that you know, maybe they needed that distraction because they realized this wasn't going to have the depth of a typical Devil May Cry. But you know, it's just more to get in the way of things, ultimately. Level design is more... There's no specific issues there. It's just some of the level cuts are done in very strange places. Where, you know, it doesn't feel like they kind of built definitive level ends. It was just, oh, we need to break this level up somewhere. That's a very minor gripe. But, you know, that's a gripe I still have. But, yeah, the bigger thing, the thing that, again, this game was very prominently sold on, about how we're going to bring this Hollywood quality level right into it. It's like, this is one of the worst written games of this scale I've ever seen. Like, considering, you know, there's decent talent here. There's Ninja Theory in the past had done way better work. I'm not going to say it was amazing or anything, but my understanding of the bits I've seen of like Heavenly Sword and Enslaved was that they did character writing and that kind of Hollywood cinematic style better there. And it's just done so poorly here. This game's tone and aesthetic was outdated when it came out in 2013. This feels like contemporary to the 90s. Like, if this was a movie that came out in the 90s that was like, oh, from the producers who watched Fight Club in The Matrix, you would believe it, kind of thing, where it's like they're selling on that tenuous connection, but it doesn't really get the source material. That's what this felt like to me, with all the comments about like, oh, we need to update this and the series getting stale. This, again, it feels aged when you play it the first time and see the story and the tone it's going for. And that's why it feels childish in a way, because it feels like something like a teenager who was growing up with that media that didn't quite have the the chops to dive into the analogies and the subtext it's going towards. And it's not, you know, and it's not me saying, oh, I don't think... I'm not saying it's bad because of what it's commenting on. Like, yes, you can make commentary on capitalism, on consumerism, and things like that, but the source materials I'm referencing do that better. They make those analogies, they make those grander points. And here it's literal just, oh no, in our world it's just demons. What do the demons represent? No, they're demons. Okay. The dialogue is really bad. First off, it doesn't sound natural. It doesn't sound like the way people talk. And it sounds like someone who is trying so hard to be cool, who thinks they're hot shit, who really isn't. Really embarrassing lines. You know, you've seen them here, and even if you're not aware of this game, you've probably seen them memed on as well. Which is like, if that's, you know, if it's not joke stuff that becomes memes, then that's a bad sign. You don't want your serious moments to become long-standing internet jokes, you know? The universe they built up is so flimsy, the rules of it, so arbitrary. There's a lot of just kind of, shut up, this is how things work. I always find it strange that some people dream about the idea of, oh, they would do Devil May Cry 5 and then this series would continue on alongside it. And it's like, I don't see anything worth keeping here. The world's not interesting. There's so many missing details and complications of, like, how does this demon stuff work? How is this extra plane technically the real world? Where are angels in all this? Like, why is this demon kind thing even ruling over humanity? It's like, there's so many weird parts to the story like that.
So that wasn't any better on a higher difficulty.
Yeah.
In fact, I just realized all I could do was just the Eric's over and over and over and over again for the entire fight.
I imagine the extra moves would start showing up in Son of Sparta, but I don't think they let you skip levels.
It says in the thing that Nephilim is supposed to be the full moveset.
Oh, enemy moveset.
Unless I'm wrong, but oh well, continue.
Yeah. You know, and there's also a very rushed feeling to the storytelling. Like, the great example is Dante gets all his memory back, all his conflicts, his troubled past, like, oh, he's come to terms with it, he's all good. His relationship with Kat, like, oh, she just out of nowhere opens up to a stranger about her traumatic past, and the gross analogy this game makes about dealing with trauma and that becoming a magical power. Oh, she opened up, now you're the person I care about, you're my love interest. You know, Virgil at the end of the game, oh, now that the big villain's Finn, now I'm going to turn into the big villain. And I'll mention there's a kind of a fanfics headcanon that in some way, when he gets absorbed into Mundus, that supposedly could corrupt him.
Ridiculous.
And maybe that's it. A, yeah, it's not supported by the text, and B, that would also be terrible writing in itself, if that was the case. Because then it's just, well, you forced the character turn. It's not even, like, it's less than justified at that point. That's just a script hitting you in the face. But like I said, the text doesn't support that theory. It's just, overall, I really struggle to think who this game is made for. Because, you know, there is the weird parts of it that feel like they are trying to harken back to the fans. But the writing and the tone is, like, almost the antithesis. As much as it's still trying to do, like, cool Hollywood, you know, because a lot of Devil May Cry, the cutscene direction, the story, the characters, is still inspired by, like, action films and Hollywood films, stuff like that. Despite still, in essence, going for the same thing, it doesn't feel anything like that. And I don't think there's even really an audience at the time that would have found this cool. Because again, it feels so dated. You know, it's like there's something like when you were grown up and you looked back and you were Dante in high school. It's like, that's who they're appealing to. Not you, but the person you look back on and you cringe. Which is... You're not going to get sales from a hypothetical person in the past, unfortunately. And yeah, like... And again, we talked about press one and to give this game a chance. The big artistic expression this game was supposed to be, and commentary, and it's not. It's so surface level. The actual series had more interesting metaphors and analogy about life and society than this game honestly does. Like those games have more humanity in the writing, feel like more artistic expression, than a lot of this game feeling kind of by committee, kind of, oh, we've got to hit these points. We'll get into some of that soon, but fit in a brief, like a design doc of, oh, these are the influences you're taking from the Fight Club, the Matrix, They Live, and so it just feels like it's copying those without knowing the subtext, the substance. This is, to me, like the quintessential style over substance game, and that's in every aspect of it. But if you are curious to play this, yes, Definitive Edition is the way to go in terms of the gameplay. Obviously, there's no real fix in the story, even with the one cutscene they did add. But, that is closer to the game that is a Devil May Cry game. It obviously still has the fundamental, mostly the same control systems, things like that. But it's at least that game actually feels like gameplay-wise it's part of the series compared to this release, which feels like a janky, tremendous, should be commended, for a Western developer, because West doesn't really make games like this.
Yeah,
it's the best we have.
I do want to say,
Yeah.
we were asked in a YouTube comment, hey, is there, a better example of a Western-made one of these games since this? It's
Did either of you respond to that comment, by the way?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
But at least for me, I couldn't really think of any... I'm sure there's something that exists in the indie space that I'm forgetting. But, most character action stuff comes out of Japan and China, for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the West doesn't really do a lot of that. I'm not... And, here's the thing. If the best the West can do is this, hoof.
Yeah, I want to see some developers tackle it. And like I said, my understanding, there are some indie efforts. I just don't know enough about that space to comment. But yeah, like I said, Definitive Edition feels closer to at least, standing toe to toe with some of what Devil May Cry can do. But this is a janky, confused mess. It doesn't come off as a confident game to me either, as well. Just, thinks it's cool, but inside is constantly worrying about how people think about it. And that's what I think this game is. And that's my final thoughts.
All right, and Cassidy.
All right, very good. First of all, want to say to the audience at home that don't tune out the second I finish giving my thoughts. After the conclusionary segment here, we are going to do the post-release history of this. So please stay tuned in for that, because there is a lot of interesting revelations that we've been holding. We've been holding back information on this one that is very funny about this game. So stay for that. Secondly, I want to say, fucking great job, you two. You very cogent criticisms laid out. Took a lot of what I was going to say, and I'm happy for that. I'm glad, because it shows that you two are clearly passionate about this thing, about this franchise, in a way that I admittedly am not. So, any gameplay criticisms, I leave, you covered the bases, I think, through the playthrough and through these comments. And even, the narrative, you both got made very fair points about, very correct points about the narrative here and its failings. And I've been making them as much as I can throughout the playthrough, so I'm not going to relitigate a lot of that stuff. And so what I'm going to choose to do with my time here is directly address people who have defended this game to us, who have defended this game in public, and made it a part of their brand, their personality, or just who feel obligate to stand up for this game every time it comes up in conversation, and every time someone puts a critical lens on it. And, the first thing I want to say to them is, really? For this? For this fucking thing? Gameplay is going to be subjective. If if they're coming at it from a purely gameplay perspective, I think it's still fair to challenge them on that, even if it is their opinion. I think you've raised some very good points about the structure here not being up to snuff compared to other Devil May Cry games or any other character action games or what have you. I think that should be challenged in and of itself. I would also contend that you raised a very good point earlier, Charky, that a lot of the people who defend this game, I would challenge them to replay it right here and now. To watch a playthrough of it like this in full and see all the beats and remind themselves, let's get a lay of the land for what this game really is, like the length of it and how little there is to do, how little it evolves and iterates. Or if not watching it, playing it themselves to remind themselves of what that feels like, to see if it really holds up in their memory. Because I would contend that a lot of these motherfuckers are lying when they say that, oh, I replay this every year. It's my favorite game. A lot of people staying up for this game are probably basing that defense off of 12-year-old memories of it.
It only took me 2 years to forget like the bad parts of this game, right? Granted, I play a lot of games, but you can pigeonhole like the flaws of something real fast if you don't engage with it.
Yes, a fair point, and one that I would urge people who would still stick up for this game to maybe recognize that in and of themselves, that human memory is fallible. The Bad Game Hall of Fame mission statement is giving bad games their due process, and with that comes an implicit sort of idea that bad games should be defended in some capacity, that you should be willing to find the good in the bad, that you can find joy in something that has been critically written off by the larger fan base. I still have to question people who would defend this game in particular, because once you get past that gameplay, and however you might feel about it, the fucking narrative in this thing, the story told, do you really, really, really want to align yourself with this reprehensible, ugly, mean, laughably edgy piece of shit? This has to be one of the worst written games I've seen in some time. The way, the contempt it treats women with is not seen in like games made by the anti-woke crowd. There are eroge games, just straight up like games about like women as objects that have more respect for women than this game does. There is better character writing in games that are like fucking jokes, piss takes, than this game earnestly tries to provide. As an origin story, it's a complete failure, especially when you have DmC 3 for comparison. Everything about it is just wrong in very laughable ways. And then there's the moments that are just deeply uncomfortable, where they push the envelope for the sake of pushing the envelope, for being a conversation piece or whatever. The killing the baby moment, and then the ramifications of that being on the forefront of my mind. Again, we already got into our thoughts on it as it happened. Our immediate reactions should sort of stand as they are, because I don't want to think about that stuff, because this is a game that makes me not want to like rethink about those moments, relive those moments, because they are so deeply uncomfortable, and they come from writers who really weren't thinking about the implications of what they were putting in their game, who did not think any of this shit through as they committed it to the page. Who only saw the surface level of what they were doing and only thought about things in the moment and had no concern for legacy or how these things would be reflected on, how they could be like criticized. They just thought, this is cool, put it in the game without much fucking second thoughts. There's not much second thought going on here. This feels very first drafty in its dialogue, feels very school notebook scribblings in the quality of the writing and in the emotional maturity and depth of the people who wrote it, which is to say there's very little of that to go around. It's frankly fucking embarrassing from every fucking angle. And, I've not seen people necessarily stand up for the writing. They might stand up for the aesthetic of it, say that, I thought this Dante was pretty cool. I don't know, I think he's a fucking dweeb. I think he's, the product of a team of writers who were wildly out of touch, and we will especially get into that as we get into the post-release and the revelations of what was going on in the writer's room, what their direct points they wanted to address about classic Dante's design was. I don't know. I look at this and I look at the defenses of it, especially people whose entire defense of it is just, this is peak, who don't really have anything to say, who just want to be contrarians for the sake of being contrarians. And I would just beg them to have a second of contemplation, a second fucking thought about it, to watch a playthrough if they don't want to reinstall the game themselves, to watch our playthrough preferably, get us those views, and just to recognize that when you put your name to something like this, people who are more intimately familiar, who more remember the beats of the story, think about what they're going to think of you. If I am to hear someone defend this game at this point in time, having now seen this thing in full with the full context, you know, I'm going to think less of people who defend this. That's the only thing I can, like, think to do in the situation. I think it's fucking fair, because just seeing the paths the story goes down, and to think of anyone aligning themselves with that, giving it the sign-off, giving it the implicit endorsement of saying that this game did no wrong. So you're defending this? So you think this is cool? You think that this piece of fucking hot garbage is worth your time defending? I have to question their values at a certain point. Just knowing how contemptuous and mean and like sophomoric this writing truly is. And again, I'm sure there are people who just don't remember the story, who just straight up don't remember the story beats and how bad it gets, whose defenses are purely rooted in gameplay. But games are not just their gameplay. If we want to take games seriously as art, you have to consider them as a whole. You have to consider every category, every facet of it that can be evaluated. And in a game like this, which is like a narrative game, which has cutscenes and story beats and clearly defined characters and attempts and fails to have character arcs, that's obviously a big component of it, serving as the origin story to kick off a new lease on life for the franchise that obviously didn't take because better taste prevailed. And I don't know, it's just, there's just something deeply frustrating about it in a way that I don't feel that people who've defended other bad games to me. This one just feels ugly in an uncomfortable, a deeply uncomfortable sort of way. And, you know, I'm sure there are people whose defenses of this, I haven't necessarily seen this. I don't want to paint the audience who would like this game with too broad a stroke here and claim that this is a majority opinion, but who would see those moments of like women being treated like fucking trash in this as being cool. You know, some of that anti-woke crowd who will hear my screed here and write me off as a fucking SJW and an emotionally triggered social justice warrior, whatever the fuck. And, you know, their opinions don't really mean much to me in the first place. They're all fucking babies. They're the ones who are deeply entitled and deeply emotionally wounded when things that they like are challenged in any sort of way. So, you know, it don't mean much to me. But as we talked earlier about people being lumped in with crowds they may not necessarily want to be lumped in with, the point I would make is that if you are a defender of this game, consider that by defending this, by standing by this, that's the crowd that you are aligning yourself with, potentially, in the eyes of people who remember these narrative beats and were hurt by them and felt like not seen or felt like, you know, grossed out, got the ick from it. That if people remember those experiences in going through the story of this game, that's going to be their perception. The people who defend it, they're going to see those values that the game holds as being implicitly defended. So think about that. Think about the people who would stand up for that for the reasons that, you know, of it being so contemptuous towards women, and think about like being lumped in with that crowd, and then really think about whether it's worth it to defend this of all things.
I want to say that going into this, you know, I was going into this thing. I remember this being okay, but mostly coming from like pretty much entirely coming from the gameplay perspective, recognizing like, yeah, the story was bad. I'd forgotten what they did with Kat. I completely forgotten that whole bit, and that repaints like a lot of my perception of where this story is and how this is at.
Yeah. And funny enough, I hadn't, every story beat, certain stuff like that was all fresh in me. and there were still certain scenes that I was uncomfortable for, and not in a, oh, the writer's making me feel they're putting me in place, just in a, I can't believe a writer put this in, and they act it out like it's a shame on you kind of feeling, as opposed to a, oh, you've made a real compelling evil villain that makes me care about the good guys winning, you know?
Yeah, good points. And I mean, obviously I'm wrapping up here. I've said my piece, and I don't know. It's bad. That's all I can really say at the end of all things, is that this was wretched. This was really bad. And there are times where this, the faults of a narrative could completely overshadow gameplay. If this gameplay was great, if it was the peak of the Devil May Cry series, I would still feel embarrassment for anyone who would stand by it, because the narrative is just so bad. I think as I grow older, the intention of the author and the ways that stories are told mean more to me than gameplay in a lot of cases. And this is a case where it just overshadows it to the extent that I can't reconcile whatever qualities the gameplay might have with the turns this takes narratively. So yeah, I guess that's where I stand on this. And I stand on it with 2 fucking feet.
All that to do it for our wrap-up section, then?
I think it will.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, enemies, kill me. Let me cash out these points.
I dare you.
I would taunt you if this game had a taunt button.
Good work. Dino Gem awarded.
Yeah, you just have to do spin on the spot taunt.
Good God. Yeah, that wasn't going to happen anytime soon.
Whatever, I have almost everything in this, and none of that carries over into Virgil's playthrough, so. Let's close that.
But not close out the show yet.
No, because we have another history section to get to. Let me just pull everything up here. Pull everything up here.
Link me in the Discord too, because I don't remember where the...
Bring up our slideshow.
So, as
and bust down. Goodbye. All right, we're still here though.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, Johnny, I believe you're gonna take control for the wrap up history here. As I try to pull it up.
Yeah. Just give me the go ahead and
oh yeah, go ahead.
Get to it. All right. So we are now at the post release of the game, just to put you in the right frame of mind. Fans, as well as detractors, got a stark surprise in March of 2013. Images had leaked from a game developers conference presentation showing pre-production materials. And
like me to move to the next slide?
Go through, if we could go through them here.
Okay.
In my head, that song from Little Big Planet, the do 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 do, song would play, but we would get claimed. So just imagine it at home. But here's our first one.
So
Dante is not a costumed hero. He is Edgy Boy from that movie. I forgot the name of it now.
And I know someone brought it up in the... No, that's
Chronicle.
Fuck, I don't remember. It was about teenagers who had telekinetic abilities.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Chronicles or Chronicles?
Yes. It took me a while. I remembered. It has a very generic name.
Written by Max Landis, by the way, as Vespa has just reminded me of in chats. So, yeesh, tugging to my collar right now.
Yeah, they didn't know. So
yeah, fair. In all fairness to them.
Yeah, in all fairness. All right, let's check our next image.
Okay.
So Dante is not Visual K, which is objectively fucking cool.
So Dante is not cool.
Fucking rules. Dante is instead. Who is that? Like the Clash? I can't see when the chat's in front of it.
I can't tell either, honestly, from this angle.
I can't tell, but I imagine English punk is what they were going for there.
Right. Next slide.
Mm-hmm. Again, Dante is not cool. Hot Topic, mall goths. Dante is another type of mall goer.
Other type of goth.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's, you know, they're trying. I think they're trying to say that nerdy cosplayer and very Japanese centric. But I don't know what they were going for with the right image. It's just like I'm gonna use this term. It maybe is a bit offensive, but this was like a term in the past for fashion, and I've heard some people reference it since. I think it's like heroin chic.
Yes.
And I feel like that's maybe what they searched on Google and how they got these images. Which, gross term, by the way. Don't use it. Even ironically, maybe don't. It's a weird thing to say. But like seeing these images explains that original Tokyo Game Show reveal Dante a lot.
Okay.
Oh, what's our next image?
I remember the scene from Fight Club.
Yeah.
This is so strange because the way this is framed is saying cool, Western, grounded, such, and they have classic Dante there. So are they saying that he is cool, Western, grounded, and stylish?
Well, he's cool when he has the face mask and the gauntlets on.
This is just mixed messaging. And I want to remind people, this was screened for an audience at Game Developers Conference. This was for industry people. This was not meant for the the broad audience. This was in a closed door, like in a conference hall, shown to people who were like industry beat writers or otherwise like developers or publishers or like people in the industry.
Yeah. And historically, these are actual pre-production materials. Like, it's hard to see from these images, but
So these would have been what I would. This is called vision boards.
Yes.
When you just make like images that try to get across a tone or aesthetic. Like on the industry side, usually used in like film production, but also used in game production. Now that we're in like a narrative era of game design, where story actually matters. So these would be pitched, and concept art would be born from this. This is a stage before concept art, where the creative directors, who aren't necessarily like going to be like artistically inclined, who aren't going to be able to like sketch out something, can get across their visual language, their idea in their head for how a thing should look through just like collages and stolen images and so on and so forth.
Yeah. And yep, I'll read this comment from Magic Meows. You're telling me the developers of this game misunderstood Fight Club?
Shocker of all shockers.
Because Tyden, that's the cool guy. Definitely not a problematic person at all. And then final image.
So for those who don't remember, there was a little movie that came out called Brokeback Mountain. It was a Ang Lee directed Western about gay cowboys, about ranchers who find love in each other and have to come to terms with that. It's like a very emotionally wrought and sort of deep movie about like masculinity and where sexuality and traditional gender norms like play a role in it. In its usage here, it is a punchline in shorthand for gays.
Yeah, we'll get into it, but like for context here, when these images leaked, whoever took the photos did not provide any context. And I'll get into that here. So this is the most infamous image from that presentation. Devil May Cry 4 Dante, photoshopped into a screenshot of Brokeback Mountain. So, after years of the gaming press reprimanding the audience for disliking the Devil May Cry, the DmC Devil May Cry redesign, and not assuming the developers would do right by the series, here was seemingly proof that Ninja Theory were mocking the original character as a quote gay cowboy. Which, for any serious fan, maybe still on the fence, probably knocked them right off onto the side of screw this game. However, the full presentation's recording was publicly released on the Game Developers Conference YouTube channel sometimes afterwards, showing the full context, though for reasons that will become clear, it is no longer on their YouTube channel, but we do have an archive link that you can watch later. But this is the art direction of DmC Devil May Cry, hosted by the art director, I'm going to say this wrong. Alessandro Tiny, yes. So, if who wants to play the role of Tani?
I'll go for it. Oh, you go for it, Sharky, please.
Yep.
All right. So he says, "Imagine Dante in a Western movie." Yeah, that's a weird sentence, actually.
Format this
I would
better
say,
next time, Johnny.
No. I'll say no. To his defense, English does not seem to be his first language.
No, this is just how it's written on the page, on the document.
Yeah, no,
that
but this is how he says it. He starts the quote of Capcom and then says he's quoting Capcom.
Oh, okay. All right, I understand. Imagine Dante in a Western movie. Capcom, the first sentence Capcom told us, we tried. And then it cuts to
And then-
DMC4, Dante photoshopped the Brokeback Mountain. There's some audience laughter. Well, maybe they didn't mean that.
Yeah, and I'll say like not uproarious laughter, kind of like a
Uncomfortable
we
laughter.
don't wanna like outright boo, so we're gonna but not comfortable with it. So, turns out Ninja Theory weren't mockingly calling Dante a cowboy, though at least not directly, but were making a general homophobic joke at the expense of just gay people in general as a part of their official pre-production phase. Because the joke here is just, isn't it funny there's gay cowboys here? That's the joke, apparently. Which, now you've seen the whole game, you can see the level of maturity we were dealing with here. But let's get on to the sales. So this is reported by Eurogamer on February the 5th, 2013. So firstly, Capcom reduces DmC Devil May Cry sales target by 800,000. That's the first report.
Yeah, if it was that
And
easy,
then-
why don't every company just reduce their sales targets? Like, actually, sales target of 2. We made it. We did it, guys.
Yeah. I guess sales projection would be the better term, but they use target in their press release, so yeah. And then, on April the 18th, 2013, Capcom once again reduces DMC sales targets down to 1.15 million for the 2013 fiscal year. And then we have a quote from, I believe it's the Capcom investor meeting about this.
Go ahead, yes.
Capcom identified 3 reasons for these further revisions. 1, a delayed response to the expanding digital contents market. 2, insufficient coordination between the marketing and the game development divisions in overseas markets. And 3, decline in quality due to excessive outsourcing.
I wonder what they're talking about there. Now, obviously, some of this can be applied to DMC, but also should be noted 2013 was a pretty rough time for Capcom, as Keiji Inafune's all-Western push was currently blowing up in their faces. The vast majority of their Western outsourcers releases had failed to meet sales targets or critical acclaim, and that includes upcoming releases as well, such as Lost Planet 3. Resident Evil 6, Capcom's most bombastic Hollywood action ball-busting blockbuster take on Resident Evil to date, had recently received mixed reception and was now on track for far reduced sales targets. Even at a impressive 5 million, Resident Evil 6 was such a bloated, costly production, even that was considered a sales failure. And you should check out the Resident Evil 6 campaigns playthrough we've done for more info on that. Be tuned in for the final chapter of that in the future. So, DMC, Devil May Cry, not only failed to achieve the mainstream success Capcom were chasing that year, but selling far worse than Devil May Cry 4 in the same time span was the cherry on top.
Also, 1 second. Okay, please continue.
Yep, of course. Okay, so according to Capcom's Platinum Titles page, DMC Devil May Cry sold 1.2 million copies as of September 2013, way below the original sales targets. Though, I should say in the long term, the PS3, 360 and PC version has continued to sell about 100 to 200k copies a year, currently sitting at a respectable 3.3 million. Though these would be, heavy discounts, Steam sales,
Bundles
sales
even.
on PSN, bundles compared to the $59.99 price. So it's cool. It's still selling, but would be not contributing much to the overall thing. So by 2014, regardless of how the fans felt and differed on DMC Devil May Cry, fan expectation for the series' future was pretty dire at this time. Capcom had a notorious history of judging the viability of making new entries to their series based solely on the specific release's sales numbers, instead of actual quality or the fan demand. Fears were Capcom would see DMC's disappointing low sale numbers as reason that Devil May Cry name just didn't carry enough weight to continue, or that type of game was too niche to consider further investing. Fans, however, got surprised on December 2014 when Capcom announced 2 new releases, Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition and DMC Devil May Cry Definitive Edition for then current PlayStation 4 and Xbox platforms, as reported by IGN. While details on Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition were sparse, DMC Devil May Cry Definitive Edition is announced to be 1080p, 60 frames per second on console, all DLC included, as well as new content plus major gameplay rebalancing. This then releases on March the 10th, 2015. Sadly, PC users do not get this version, despite the fact that the same outsourced developer, QLOC, I don't know if it's pronounced QLOC, but it's all capitals, worked on both ports, and it's a bummer. It's a legit bummer. Honestly, if that gets a decomp, that would be cool, because let people play stuff. The list of changes is so long and extensive, Capcom released a 24-page PDF written by Ninja Theory combat designer Ronnie Tucker on the Capcom community website. Now, we're obviously not going to mention every change. There's a lot to go through, but the vast majority of the changes were typical, fan requests again, bring the game online with the series, while fixing DMC's most glaring gameplay issues. And again, as mentioned, not mentioned in the patch notes, but Virgil's Trilby was also cut.
R.I.P.
Later, on June the 18th, in Japan and June 23rd worldwide, Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition was released on PlayStation 4, Xbox, and PC. Much like the DMC Definitive Edition, but to a lesser extent, this featured some gameplay rebalancing, additional costumes, but uniquely 3 new playable characters across all modes. So, elephant in the room here, either intentionally or just by accident, Capcom had set up 2 Devil May Cry re-releases in direct competition, one based on the reboot, and one based on the last mainline entry. Though the future of the series depended on the sales of these releases, was shot down by Hideki Itsuno in a E3 2015 interview with GameSpot, after a previous interview response gave the audience that impression. According to Itsuno, he believes it was mistranslated when he urged people to buy the games, giving people that idea. But again, Capcom has a history of this, so I don't blame people. While we don't have any specific sales numbers for that era, both releases reportedly sold well, though it is Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition that is reportedly the better seller of the 2, and is cited by Capcom as a, quote, key contributor, sorry, been talking too long, in its jump in profits, as reported by GameSpot on July the 13th. And then we can use Capcom... 30th, sorry, yeah. Using Capcom's current Platinum Tires page, we can see in the long term that difference in sales to be true, with DMC Definitive Edition at 1.5 million and Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition at 3.6 million, which surpasses even the original release of Devil May Cry 4.
So that's pretty significant. You talk about these games, being pitted against each other, and not, meant to determine which timeline would go forward. So first of all, it's just a stupid idea to put games like this, releases like this, in direct competition with each other. It doesn't work. It has historically not worked. I think in the case of Electronic Arts putting Medal of Honor directly in competition with their own Battlefield franchise.
Yeah,
and
they did that with Titanfall 2 as well.
They did. And, internally, you are going to come to a conclusion. Even if you're not setting out with the goal of seeing which holds the water, which franchise or which timeline in this case, the audience will more go for, you inevitably draw a conclusion from results. You pay entire departments at a company at that scale to make determinations and recommendations like this based on sales data, people whose job it is to interpret sales data as an indication of where the market is and which direction to pursue. So invariably, they were going to come to some sort of conclusion, especially with the numbers being as disparate as they appear to be there. Because that's nearly double. I mean, that's more than double. It's nearly triple DMC4 outnumbering DMC sales in this definitive edition capacity.
Yeah. Like I said, we don't have the sales for that year. That's the long term, but you can figure out from there that it was probably always a big lead as well. And I'll reference this. Capcom famously announced and then cancelled a new Darkstalkers game specifically because that HD collection did not sell well. So they had a history. So again, I do not blame the fans for thinking that's what was happening here. So, after the release of DmC in 2013, Ninja Theory would do some experimenting, first releasing the free-to-play mobile title Fight Back, then a history of various pitches to publishers and projects that failed to get off the ground, to providing additional development and combat elements to do Disney Infinity games. With growing frustrations with difficult to work with publishers, Ninja Theory decided to do it for themselves and develop the first, quote, independent AAA game, bit of a cringy title, I'll say, entirely in-house with a small 15-person development team. A pretty ambitious goal, and a project that even had a YouTube video blog from the start of development. This would become Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, a story-focused hack and slash covering themes of mental health. This game received positive critical reception and had become profitable within 3 months of its release, and this is possibly the first original game from Ninja Theory to do so, as all their others were, commercial failures. After some more experimenting, this time with VR, during E3 2018, Microsoft announced they had acquired Ninja Theory as part of Microsoft Studios, with Tamim commenting that this was done to, quote, be free from the AAA machine and be able to focus on small experimental titles with less risk. I get what you mean, like dealing with like trying to pitch stuff and it all being shut down, but like it's Microsoft, dude. Come on. Under Microsoft, they released Bleeding Edge, a 2020 multiplayer online battle arena game. Unfortunately, received mixed critical reception, and the development support ended on July 2021.
January 2021?
January 2021, yes. On May 21st, 2024, Ninja Theory would release their follow-up to Hellblade, Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, and that was far better received than Bleeding Edge, so they're still doing well, it seems. And then, around the time of Hellblade 2's release, Tamim Antinades left Ninja Theory, something he admits he'd been wanting to do for some years, but stayed on to help with the transition of Microsoft's acquisition. And Ninja Theory are continuing on and have projects currently in development with Microsoft. But what happened with Capcom and Devil May Cry? Capcom were able to recover from their excessive outsourcing and failed attempts to capitalize on, quote, Western-style games with a focus back in-house and their core IPs, such as 2017's Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, considered a return to form for the series. Then, during E3 2018, during Microsoft's press conference, Capcom revealed Devil May Cry 5. After this trailer, longtime series director Hideki Itsuno and new co-producer Matt Walker came on stage to give details, with Itsuno excitedly proclaiming DmC is back, and Matt Walker saying that since the release of Devil May Cry 4, fans have been asking for a, quote, true sequel, and that Devil May Cry 5 was our response, we hear you. Devil May Cry and Itsuno are back. And Itsuno ended by boldly claiming Devil May Cry 5 would be the best game he has ever made, because we made it for you, the fans. So, there's... The DmC Devil May Cry might not have used subtext, but Capcom sure used a lot of subtext in that announcement. Devil May Cry 5 would release on March the 8th, 2019 on Xbox One, PS4, and PC to critical acclaim and the strongest sales in the series, eventually becoming the best-selling game in the series by a wide margin, currently sitting on Capcom's Platinum title list as its 8th best-selling game at 10.7 million copies sold across all platforms, ironically achieving the mainstream success DmC was greenlit to do. DmC 5 developers still speak quite fondly of the reboot, even after Devil May Cry 5's announcement and release, with some design aspects being cited as direct influence and brought into Devil May Cry 5, though certain Johnny Bagheads of the world will be quick to point out those were cribbed from Platinum Games' Bayonetta, but whatever. Capcom developers even expressed some interest in potentially continuing the DmC universe, and suggesting that there would even be attempts to get a DmC 2 into production soon after DmC's release, though that fell through. Though insisting that Capcom, if they had done this or chose to in the future, Ninja Theory would have to be involved, and this is quoting Matt Walker. it wouldn't be DMC without Ninja Theory. Though after Microsoft's acquisition, that seems very unlikely to happen. I will say, I don't know how much I believe this, considering the immediate sales failure the game was, and this comes off as a bit lip servicey. There was a extended section covering a alleged story about Itsuno threatening to quit the company if he couldn't make Devil May Cry 5, but the only source on that is Ruben Landon, and I don't blame people for not seeing him as a reliable source anymore. So there's that. I'm not even alleging that. Who knows on that? But what happened to Keiji Inafune's career after leaving Capcom? I love this pitch. After leaving in late 2010, he founded a company called Concept. Did some consulting on games like, Yaiba, Ninja Gaiden Z. Check out the playthrough of that on the YouTube channel for more on that. Oh, and then released a Kickstarter in 2013 for a game called Mighty Number 9, a spiritual successor to the Mega Man series. Hopefully that went well for him. We'll look into that some other time. See what happens.
We'll do an update. We'll see if that turned out okay. I don't know. Haven't heard anything about it.
Yeah. But what happened to Dante? Les Terminados de Demonios. Dante would make some small cameos in a few Capcom games going forward, such as a downloadable skin for the disastrous Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. But he would branch out to other games and mediums, such as having a small role in 2016's Nightcry. You can check out our playthrough of that for some more details. And even modeling for a Vietnamese dental instructional video. Good for him.
Is that the next slide? Do you have the slide for that, or
don't have the slide for that? No.
Okay, we'll link that in chat. You can check that out.
Sure. Yeah. So just to be clear as to what is happening there, what we're referencing is that past a certain point, show the Nightcry Dante again. Let me see that.
Yeah.
So this character model here, after Ninja Theory finished the game, shipped it, and had all these assets on hand, it's a relatively high poly character model, I'm sure. And if you strip the outfit off of it, it just makes for a pretty decent base as just like a generic dude with this haircut. And so they sold the model off as an asset. They entered into whatever sort of library for stock assets exist on the market for 3D models and whatnot. And it has since been used in its capacity as a 3D model as a stand-in character in Nightcry, which we have played previously on the channel, and you can see him. He's one of the first things you see in the game. He's one of the first people you interact with.
He's the first one to die.
And the first one to die. And you have to wonder if the developers of that game had any idea, where the source for this model was, or it was just handed off to them, or if they just saw it in a stock asset library and said, yeah, sure, whatever, looks good. Just not knowing the baggage. And then the Vietnamese dental instructional video, that's clearly indicates that whatever library it has been entered into is a very publicly or broadly available one, accessible one for 3D modelers, for 3D animators. So you can watch Dante get his teeth cleaned, I suppose, if that's your kink. You have been served.
And here's that beautiful smile after his dental work.
Bless whoever found that, because
that would be these were reported on by a Space Yin on Twitter. I don't know if they were initially the ones to discover this, but
not the dental video. So whoever recorded that, you have my thanks forever.
Yeah,
for that.
I will say that their comment in an initial post, in a first post here that I'll also link to, is, did you know that DmC Devil May Cry sold so poorly that Capcom had to sell some of the assets? That's not how that would work. It would be Ninja Theory who would have the assets on hand to distribute in whichever way. And I don't think, again, this game did not meet its projections, but I don't think I think it's a sort of a best business practice to, if you have leftover assets that you're trying to maximize, whether or not the game did well, I think these probably still would have went into the open market in some sort of capacity.
I do wonder if they technically, who does Capcom technically partly own the model? I wonder.
In a situation like this, they would own the character in full in its outfit. They would own the the Dante IP or whatever. If you strip it down to to an asset, just to a 3D model you can put like clothes on and whatnot. The Vietnamese dental commercial one,
Yeah,
he
it's
has
him with
his
the
tank
vest.
top. He
Yeah.
has his tank top on, so I wonder if that one's maybe pushing it a little bit more. But I guess the coat would be the thing that really identifies him as Dante, the red coat, the
Yeah.
full getup.
You would think if
So
they
maybe
sold
there's some sort of
You would think if they sold the model, they would remove the parts of the model that would get them in trouble for being used.
I wonder if it was something where it was like, it was sold as a placeholder asset and just companies just didn't modify it like they were supposed to.
It's hard to say.
Yeah,
and I
who's
would
to
love
say?
to find whatever asset library
Yeah.
has this and see how it is
Yeah.
labeled.
Put it
But
in
I
more
haven't
things.
found yet.
I hope he gets more work, honestly.
Yeah.
So, audience reception and impressions of DMC Devil May Cry have cooled over the years compared to 2013, though it still has its defenders that insist it to be one of the best in the series. For most, though, it remains in the zeitgeist more as a symbol, representing Capcom's most hubris and out-of-touch era, and a case study of a PR campaign that at times seemed designed to alienate the very audience they were trying to make a game for. Close curtain.
Well, thank you very much, Johnny, for that extensive history and postmortem. And that closes the book on, well, the main playthrough of DMC, Devil May Cry. Because we're not done yet.
Unfortunately.
We've still got Virgil's story to learn about. But that will have to wait until next week. But for now, folks, thanks for joining us for another episode of, I almost said another episode of Devil May Cry. That's true. But another episode of the Bad Game Hall of Fame. We hope that you had fun tonight. It's probably more fun than last week, all things considered. Maybe a little less heady. But I keep wanting to say done and dusted. We're done with this, but we're not. I know we're not. We got more. So we hope you'll join us for more. And, what could you join us for? What we got in the future here? Well, on Thursday, we have the results of our latest patron poll. What was the theme of that poll again, Cass? What was the name of it?
Lame Lithtech Engine games. There is still time to vote on this. If you are a Twitch subscriber, Patreon pledger, YouTube member, as of this time of recording, right here. We got the poll going over on our Discord server, discord.gg/bghof, in our Patreon Saints channel, exclusive to those supporters. But we will say that taking a commanding lead right now, and most likely, unless people feel otherwise, unless people join and decide to change the tide, it will most likely be 2003's Gods and Generals that ends up getting played on Thursday. But no sure thing here. Anything can change in the Bad Game Hall of Fame Patreon poll at any moment in time.
Speaking of things that are subject to change, Johnny, are we doing anything Friday?
No, I've got some more behind the scenes stuff to work on.
Okay.
We will put up that the Mario Kart Live home circuit clip on the Clips channel soon. It just needs a little re-edit and some director's cut changes. So look forward to a slightly extended cut of that.
Definitive edition of that bit.
Definitive edition, yep.
You don't have to only use angel weapons on that video anymore. Anyway, on Saturday will be the first episode of our new longish form series. Tentatively titled Virtual Insanity. That's what we're going with, right?
I think we're just committing to it at this point, because no one's recommended an alternative better title than that.
I just love that name, so I'm 100% behind it.
Well, Virtual Insanity, which is our look back at the entire library of Nintendo's Virtual Boy, just in time for the release of Virtual Boy games on Nintendo's online, whatchamacallit, you gotta pay the money to play games online. Expansion pass thingy, whatever. Nintendo is selling like $100 fake Virtual Boys for you to play emulated Virtual Boy games on your Switch and not letting you play it unless you give them more money for that specific thing. So we're going to dunk on them for that. And we're going to see maybe the Virtual Boy had some decent games on it. Maybe what people say is the worst game on Virtual Boy isn't the worst game at all. Tune in on Saturday to find out. Join us on that journey. On Monday, we hope you join us for Casual Mondays, where we play some games that aren't necessarily bad. We're just going to hang out, play what we want, and chill and talk for like 3 hours. And on Tuesday, as mentioned, we will return to DmC Devil May Cry to do Virgil's Downfall, the DLC in which we learn, hey, what happened to Virgil after the story? What did he get up to? What's he doing? How's his gameplay? How's this gonna suck way worse than the main game? You'll find out. So, if you enjoyed tonight's show and you would like to support us, one way you could do so is by becoming a patron on Patreon, a subscriber on Twitch, or a member on YouTube. Any or all of the above will get you access to the Patron Saints channel in our Discord, where you can vote on the direction of the show with patron polls, as the Lift Tech one we mentioned earlier, which, if you're listening to this right now, as we are live, there's still time to go vote on that. But if you can't afford to support us financially, we totally understand. Feel free to join the Discord anyway. Free to enter. It's got a big community there where we talk about games, good games, bad games, talk about not games, talk about our bad game of the month, which this month we are all playing through, or some of us are playing through, Duke Nukem Land of the Babes for PS1, a third-person shooter, I guess one would say, made by the people who did Danger Girl, which we just did a playthrough of recently. I'm not hearing good things about it from the people who are playing it, which is the point of the Bad Games Club. So if you feel like joining and experiencing that for yourself, we always say you should play some bad games, put that in your repertoire. Join us, play with other people, join the misery, commiserate. Another way to support us is by sharing our channel on YouTube. We've got a playlist over there for suggested viewing, 20 handpicked episodes we think make for good onboarding. Or if you know someone who has been going to bat for DmC Devil May Cry, and maybe they need a reminder about the end of the game and where the plot goes, maybe link them to this one, but don't do so aggressively. You know what? Maybe ease them into this. Maybe link them to the first episode, get them lulled into a false sense of security before we break it all down.
Get the YouTube URL, write on a piece of paper, and slip it under their door.
Yes. Like,
no context.
Don't even include the YouTube part. Just have like the letters at the end after you watch equals, and have it be like an ARG in which they have
ARG.
Yeah, and then eventually they solve the puzzle, and it leads to them watching people not like their favorite game. So, with all that being said, Cass, are you thinking we should raid someone this evening?
Yeah, let's just send folks Slow Beef's way. They're not necessarily playing anything bad right now. They're just having a happy Tuesday let's hang. I think they're playing Outer Wilds at the moment, if I can recognize it on site.
I should play that.
I just let them know that the Bad Game Hall of Fame sent you, and so forth. Let them know that we just suffered. And yeah, we'll get that underway shortly.
All right, so yeah, go hang out with Slow Beef, go say hi, and we hope you'll join us this coming Thursday. But for now, I have been disappointing final boss Charky.
I've been delightfully devilish Johnny Baghead.
I've been crushing this can of virility Cassidy.
Thanks y'all again for joining us, and good night everybody.
Toodles!
Till the next time.